Chapter 2860. A few days later, in the central palace of the Green Lotus Hell, Xia Ping had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days. Through this period of cultivation, he could be considered to have stabilized his skyrocketing cultivation base, completely stabilizing it at the perfected immemorial realm. He was just one step away from breaking through to the demigod realm and mastering the law of life and death. Of course, he had also awakened 1 trillion infernal golden crow cells in his body. The bloodline in his body was extremely dense. If he awakened 1 trillion cells, the infernal golden crow bloodline in his body would be completely awakened. He's already reached the peak of immemorial realm? Xia Ping sighed with emotion. He didn't expect himself to advance to this realm so quickly. Compared to him at the beginning, he was much, much stronger. It could be said that he was already standing at the pinnacle of the universe. Other than the gods, no one could do anything to him. Moreover, it wouldn't take long for him to completely inherit the Golden Crow's bloodline and completely unseal all the Golden Crow cells. It's about time to head to the Fiend God universe to take a look. Xia Ping squinted his eyes. After this period of cultivation, his strength had increased by too much. Although he might not be able to fight against the evil gods, with the treasures he had on him, he could at least ensure that he wouldn't die. To be honest, his understanding of the evil god universe was still too little. If he didn't understand the evil god universe, he wouldn't know the details of this enemy. This would be very disadvantageous for the future war. Once the infernal world was completely devoured by the evil god universe, the modern world might also be affected by the evil god universe, causing an unimaginable disaster that was even more terrifying than the Abyss invasion. Therefore, he had to head to the evil god universe to investigate the situation. Of course, he was not unprepared for this. Firstly, the authority of the true demonic god allowed him to change his identity and even deceive the origin laws of the universe. This way, even if he entered the evil god universe, he wouldn't be discovered by the evil gods, and he wouldn't be targeted by the universe origin. This was the best ability for a spy. Secondly, he also had the formless mask, which could conceal his aura and change his appearance. In the end, even if he encountered a great danger, he could use the wish compass to escape. It could be said that he had all kinds of tricks up his sleeves and was in an invincible position. However, before heading to the Fiend God universe, I still have to refine a large number of Nether God demonic curses. Xia Ping waved his hand, and the power of his bloodline condensed into an underworld god talisman. This was the underworld god talisman that made countless invincible demons submit. The reason why he needed to condense so many nether god demon curses was because he wanted to give them to those invincible devils. The plan to abduct invincible demons from other hell planes had yet to be completed. It could be said that this was only the beginning, and the plan was still ongoing. After all, his goal was to unify the entire hell world. This was the best plan. As long as he controlled all the invincible demons in the hell world would naturally belong to him. Of course, there were some high-level planar lords, but their subordinates were under Xia Ping's control. Therefore, they weren't much of a threat at all. Therefore, this plan could not be abandoned halfway. In order for the plan to proceed smoothly even if Xia Ping left, he had to condense a large number of nether god demon curses and give them to the invincible demons to handle. If he tricked the invincible demons into the hell of the Green Lotus, there was no need to trick them. As long as the invincible demons in the hell of the Green Lotus subdued the invincible demons and planted the nether god demon curses in them, they would naturally become his dependents. There was no need for him to show up personally. In the past, the invincible demons might not be able to deal with other invincible demons. But now, the invincible demons in the hell of the Green Lotus had hell treasures, and their strength had increased by several times. Moreover, with a group of invincible demons ganging up on them, he believed that no matter how strong the invincible demons were, they would fall for it. If this snowball continued, sooner or later, all the invincible demons in the hell world would become Xia Ping's dependents. After a few more days, Xia Ping had condensed tens of thousands of Nether God Talisman amulets. He believed that with so many Nether God Talisman amulets in hand, he would definitely be able to subdue enough invincible demons. Yes, it's time to head to the nest of the void monsters. At the thought of this, he spoke to Luna and directly left the hell of the Green Lotus, flying toward the nest of the void monsters. At this moment, Xiaoping's speed was extremely fast. With a single thought, he could cross a distance of 80 million light-years. Even invincible sages would not be able to match his speed. Even though the nest of the void monsters was very far away from the hell of the Green Lotus, it would not take him too long. In just a day's time, he arrived at the outer region of the void monster's nest. Of course, he wore the formless mask, concealing all of his aura. Otherwise, he would probably be discovered by the power here the moment he got close to the nest. Is this the nest of the void monsters? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He saw a huge lair in the distance. It was like a huge and boundless beast lying in the void of hell. In terms of size, this nest was probably not much smaller than the hell of the Green Lotus. Its entire body was pitch black, and it emanated gloomy, evil, darkness, blood, chaos, death, and other auras. It was like an evil body from the abyss, containing the power to distort everything. If a normal life was here, their soul would probably be distorted by this terrifying evil power. This was the power of the evil god. It was indescribable, 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 indescribable. Only Xiaoping, who had grasped the power of the golden crow of hell's bloodline, could look at the nest here without any effort. So many void monsters. Xiaoping activated the golden crow of hell's eyes, as though he could see through all illusions. Tens of thousands of light-years were covered by his gaze. It was like the eyes of a god high above, seeing everything clearly. He could see many void monsters returning from the outside, and they were all gathering in this nest. Endless evil aura spread out from this place, making one's heart tremble. Just the void monsters that he could see with his naked eyes were probably more than the void monsters that attacked the hell of the Green Lotus previously. Clearly, this was all the military strength of the evil god's nest. Moreover, these void monsters were still being created endlessly. Let's go in and take a look. However, if he stayed outside, Xiaoping would not be able to see anything. If he wanted to know the true secrets of the void monsters, he had to enter the nest of the evil god. So, thinking about this, he didn't hesitate. His body flashed, and he instantly attached himself to one of the void monsters that returned to the nest. One must know that the surface area of the void monsters was extremely huge, like a sun. Xiaoping was just a normal human, and when he attached himself to it, he was like a speck of dust. He was so small that he wouldn't be discovered at all. Sogu website. Chapter 2861. Xiaoping had just attached himself to one of the void monsters. That void monster couldn't sense anything. Many of them were gathered together and chatting. "Brother, what is going on? Why did the headquarters suddenly call us back?" A void monster's head was filled with confusion. It had discovered a low-level hell plane and was planning to devour it. Who knew that with an order from the headquarters, they would all return? It could only give up on this hunt. It can't be. You still don't know about this? Something big happened recently. The higher-ups did an operation and planned to attack a high-level hell plane. It's called Green Lotus Hell. I heard that they gathered 1 trillion void monsters. A void monster said, everyone thought that the operation would be a success. Who knew that they were all wiped out? Not even a single void monster was able to escape. You must be joking. They didn't even return? Didn't they say that we have undying bodies? Even if we are killed by the devils, our souls can be reborn in the evil god altar. Some void monsters were shocked. Don't talk about it. Because of this, I heard that the devils have a way to destroy our souls. They can kill us instantly and prevent our souls from returning to the evil god altar to be reborn. It can't be. If we don't have undying bodies, what advantage do we have against the devils? Many void monsters were terrified. The reason why they could roam hell was because of their undying bodies. If they lost their undying bodies, they would definitely be heavily injured. That's why the headquarters told us to quickly return to defend in case anything happens to our lair. Once the space tunnel here is discovered by the devils or even destroyed, our many years of planning will be over. Right? Currently, the headquarters wants to investigate what power those devils have. Before they find out, all void monsters are to return to await orders. Looks like we can't go out and cause trouble. What is the background of that green lotus hell? Why is it so terrifying? The void monsters discussed among themselves, and their faces were filled with fear. So. They didn't hesitate. As they spoke, they entered their lair. Did they go in? Xia Ping raised his brows and listened to the void monsters. To be honest, the process of him entering the void monster's lair could be considered a daunting experience but not a dangerous one. Any void monster that entered their lair would be scanned by the power of the evil god to confirm if there were any enemies following them in and if there were any invaders. However, by relying on the power of the faceless mask, Xia Ping was able to hide in the depths of the dimension. Even the power of the evil god could not find Xia Ping's true body. Therefore, it could be said that he had entered the nest without any mishaps. However, in Xia Ping's opinion, this kind of inspection procedure was a bit like a routine, and he didn't pay much attention to it. This was because the void monsters had invaded the infernal world for a very long time. Since ancient times, no demons had ever been able to invade this nest, and no demons had ever been able to come to this place. This made them a little careless and let down their guard. In reality, there were no demons that could withstand the corrosion of the evil god's power. Once they entered their lair, they would probably be quickly distorted and forcefully transformed by the evil god's power, becoming the evil god's kin. And this power was actually similar to the power of demon god like the golden crow of hell. Perhaps this was the power of the gods, and it could unconsciously influence the bloodline of non-god life forms, forcefully transforming other life forms into their own kin. Unless a mortal had the bloodline of a god, they would not be affected by other gods. However, the bloodline influence of the evil god was different from the golden crow of hell. The bloodline influence of the golden crow of hell was benign and gradual. It would not affect the soul and personality of other life forms. However, the evil god could easily distort the souls of mortals, causing them to fall into a state of madness. Moreover, they were extremely brutal. Once they could not accept this power, they would immediately explode and die. This was probably the power that originated from the evil god itself. Their divine power was madness, chaos, evil, and also brutal. Therefore, the bloodline influence was also extremely terrifying. It was not like other gods that were gentle and sustainable. This is the nest of the void monsters? Xia Ping swaggered into this place. With the power of the formless mask, no void monsters would be able to discover his whereabouts. Moreover, his body size was extremely small compared to the void monsters. He was like a speck of dust. Who would care about the dust on their body? They did not have any intention of doing so. Therefore, although he was in the enemy camp, he was very safe. After a period of exploration, he realized that although this was the nest, it was no different from a great thousand world. It was like a super war fortress. It seemed like this place was divided into a few regions. One was the resting region, which was where the void monsters rested. One was the production region, which was where the void monsters were created. One was the evil god altar. This was where the void monsters' souls could be reborn. This place could communicate with the power of the evil god. The other was the space-time tunnel. This place was also their most important place. It was heavily guarded and was responsible for transferring resources from the hell plane back to the evil god plane. Also, the experts of the evil god universe would use this tunnel to come to the hell plane. This nest is alive. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. His golden crow eyes of hell could see through everything, and he was shocked to discover that this void monster's nest itself was a terrifying weapon of war. Once it awakened, it would probably possess the power of a demon god. However, this nest had long been fixed at this place and could not be moved. It was the most important weapon in protecting the space-time tunnel and could not be moved recklessly. After all, once the space-time tunnel was broken, all the plans of the evil god universe would be over. Therefore, this place was naturally extremely important and could not be lost. This nest is devouring the power of hell's source. Xia Ping clenched his fists. He also saw billions of void roots extending from the nest. They took root in the void of hell and devoured the energy of hell's source. This devouring speed was slow but uninterrupted. No matter how slow it was, no matter how immense the power of hell's source was, after countless years of devouring, it still caused the hell world to suffer heavy losses. Honestly speaking, with so many invincible demons born in the hell world, there should have been a demon god born long ago. However, because the monsters of the evil god universe kept devouring the energy of hell's source, it slowed down the evolution of the hell world. This resulted in no demon god born in the hell world. Chapter 2862. Let's head to the space tunnel to take a look. Xia Ping resisted the urge to destroy this place. Once he destroyed this place, it would be hard for him to find another space tunnel to head to the evil god universe. Since they could reach hell world, then naturally he could head to the evil god universe to obtain benefits. This was what they meant by reciprocation. If he destroyed this place, he would alert the enemy and attract the attention of the evil gods. Then, it would be hard for him to enter the evil god universe. So, Xia Ping concealed himself and followed the other void monsters forward, arriving at the location of the space-time tunnel. This place was a huge empty space. Many strange-looking void monsters were gathered here, and there were huge statues of evil gods placed around them. These sculptures seemed to have god power as they unconsciously gave off all sorts of evil, dark and twisting powers that formed the evil god domain. Moreover, this power enveloped the entire square, covering every corner. Everything that didn't belong to the evil gods would be twisted and corrupted. This was an indescribable and terrifying power. Fortunately, Xia Ping's formless mask could hide his aura and the Hell Golden Crow bloodline could block the distortion of evil god power. Otherwise, he would have been noticed the moment he entered this place. I have to be careful, otherwise I might be noticed. Xia Ping squinted his eyes. He sensed that these sculptures contained a thread of evil god power. They pierced through Hell World and were constantly scanning. If he did anything weird and was noticed, then he would definitely end up in a tragic state. But he had done too many things like sneaking into other people's nests and he was used to it. His mental fortitude had increased by several times and naturally, he wouldn't be shaken by such a small thing. Is this the space tunnel? Xia Ping looked ahead. At the deepest part of the square, there was a giant black gate. It seemed to be a space gate and there were all sorts of evil god diagrams carved on it. There were numerous evil god runes and they contained terrifying space-time powers. It seemed like this space gate connected Hell World and the evil god universe. After these void monsters arrived at the space-time tunnel, they seemed to have stayed where they were, waiting to be inspected. Beams of dark evil god light enveloped them, causing the bodies of these void monsters to turn illusory, revealing the space within their bodies. It seemed like their stomachs were dimensional bags that could be filled with many things. Their bellies seemed to be filled with all sorts of resources that they had plundered from all over hell. Clearly, these void monsters had devoured countless resources from all over hell. Most of them were not eaten by themselves, but brought back here to send the resources back to the evil god universe. I see. Xia Ping immediately understood why they were doing this. It was because things from other universes, even if they looked good on the surface, still needed to be inspected. In particular, the invasion of species could be a huge disaster for this universe. This was because Hell's species basically had no natural enemies in the evil god universe. If they accidentally entered the evil god universe, they would cause great damage to the ecosystem and reproduce continuously. To begin with, the evil god universe was already extremely weak. If they were to do something like this, it would speed up the destruction of the evil god universe. Hence, these evil god dependents were extremely cautious. Even if they brought back a large amount of resources from the infernal world, they still had to check it over and over again to prevent species from the infernal world from invading the evil god universe and causing an irreversible disaster. In fact, the evil god cosmos had also experienced an extremely painful lesson, which was why they had implemented such an inspection measure. Back then, they had accidentally brought back some hellgrass seeds from the infernal realm. These were weeds that grew in the infernal realm. They were completely red like blood and looked extremely beautiful. After these hellgrass seeds entered the evil god universe, they actually sprouted on many lands. One could imagine the outcome. These plants that could survive in hell were extremely strong. The moment they entered the evil god universe, they quickly reproduced. In just a short year, they covered numerous regions. How could the plants that lived in greenhouses compare to the hellgrass that lived in hell? The dense forest instantly died. Only the hellgrass could survive. They could even swallow the nutrients of the land, causing the land to dry up. Moreover, they weren't afraid of being burned by flames. They could even swallow flame energy. Some evil god dependents tried to wipe out the hellgrass, but they were unable to do anything. The hellgrass that formed was really terrifying, like a hell trap. Once evil god members entered, they would instantly tie them up and swallow their flesh and blood. This would allow the hellgrass to grow stronger and stronger. One could imagine the outcome. Due to the overflow of hellgrass, many pieces of land became the territory of the hellgrass, forming an absolute forbidden region. At the same time, the evil gods couldn't bear to destroy the land here, as the evil god universe was already weak. If they destroyed more land, it would speed up the destruction of the evil god universe. So, they could only allow the hellgrass to grow. Anyway, to the evil god universe, it was just another terrifying plant. At this moment, many places in the evil god universe still had hellgrass growing. But due to such a lesson, they suffered heavy losses. They remembered this matter and stopped the invasions from other universes in case they brought a huge disaster. Invasions? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. If he wanted to speed up the collapse of the evil god universe, then he had to make things worse. That might be a good idea. He remembered that there were some terrifying beings in hell, like the hell ants. These beings had really strong life force and grew really quickly. Billions of hell ants would appear, and once they appeared, they would form a natural disaster. Everywhere they passed, everything would turn into barren land. They ate everything and swallowed everything. If there were enough of them, the entire world would be eaten by them. Moreover, hell ants' defense and attack were off the charts. They might be weak individually, but when there were billions of them, they were unbeatable. They could reflect all techniques, flames, ice, and everything else were useless against them. Fortunately, hell had beings that countered hell ants, otherwise, the entire hell would be their world. But hell ants had no enemies in the evil god universe. If such a species was placed in the evil god universe, it would definitely bring them huge problems. Xia Ping had actually collected many of such hell ants and placed them in the classic of mountains and seas world. But under the green cow's control, the hell ants weren't able to form a large scale in the classic of mountains and seas world. Chapter 2863. But this was just Xia Ping's idea. As for how to do it, he would only know after entering the evil god universe. As they had waited for a long time, these void monsters seemed to be chatting casually. "Brother, how are your gains this time?" A void monster asked and looked at his companion. "Not much. Recently, the number of low-level hellplanes have been decreasing and they are getting further and further away. Sometimes, it takes a long time to find one." A void monster shook its head. It expressed that the market wasn't good and their gains were decreasing. That was because they would get a commission from the resources they plundered. The more they plundered, the more benefits they would get. So naturally, they were all really enthusiastic. "Stupid, what benefits are there in the low-level hellplanes? The demons there are all poor, and even if we kill them all, we won't get any benefits. If we really want to get rich, we have to head to the middle level or even the high-level ones." The void monster at the side disdainfully said, "Kiki, do you think I don't know? But those high-level ones are hard to break and we won't get many benefits even if we fight to the death. If we can break them, then why would I bother with those low-level ones?" The void monster laughed. It wasn't a fool, and everyone knew that there were many benefits in the high-level hellplanes. The problem was, were such benefits so easy to get? Especially those high-level hellplanes where there were many strong demons and they had strong defenses. Even if the void monsters were strong, they would need a long time to break through. More importantly, to break through the high-level hellplanes required a large number of void monsters. Once there were too many of them, their wealth would decrease by a lot. Moreover, they wouldn't get much commission from such a battle. If that was the case, then they might as well search for the low-level hell planes and take all the benefits. That's right. It's not that safe to attack the higher planes of hell. I heard that the headquarters gathered 1 trillion void monsters and planned to attack that green lotus hell. In the end, they were all wiped out. Not a single one of them managed to escape. That was a huge loss. Now the headquarters and the evil god are furious. They want to investigate the higher-ups who gave the order. I heard that a few of the higher-ups were executed by the evil god because of this. A void monster said in a low voice. It can't be. I heard about it too. At first, I thought it was a joke. I didn't expect it to be true. Did those demons really find a way to deal with the evil god's minions? Many void monsters at the side also pricked up their ears, feeling extremely curious. They must have found it. Otherwise, how could 1 trillion void monsters die so easily? Not even a single soul managed to escape. This is too terrifying. I don't even know how many years it has been since we suffered such a loss. A void monster shook its head and sighed. I have long heard that this hell world is extremely terrifying. It is said that in the last epoch, many demon gods were born there and they are not inferior to our evil god universe. Another void monster said gravely, even if these demon gods have fallen, who knows what kind of trump cards they left behind. Even if they obtained a terrifying god artifact, it's still enough to heavily injure us. Its expression was really solemn because the strength of gods was extremely terrifying. Even if they had fallen, they could still cause endless threats. This was the lesson they learned from opening up many universes. It seems like I can't come to Hell World for the time being. I should apply for a transfer to attack other universes. That way it will be safer. Otherwise, if the demons of Green Lotus Hell find us, we won't even know how we died. Many void monsters said with a hint of fear. That's right. Before we know how those demons kill us, it is best if we stay in the headquarters and don't head out. Otherwise, it won't be us hunting demons but the demons hunting us instead. Some void monsters couldn't help but nod their heads. Okay, stop chatting here. It is your turn to inspect. Hurry up and don't disturb my rest. An inspector hollered. When he saw these void monsters dawdling, he was a little annoyed. I'm coming. When they heard that, many void monsters walked forward. So, at this moment, Xia Ping's figure flashed and immediately appeared on top of the fur of one of the void monsters. His body was like a tiny dot to these void monsters, an existence akin to a flea. Void monster number NHG 9900. There are no problems with the inspection. Go on in. An inspector scanned and after finding no problems, he waved his hand and let the void monster at the front enter the spatial tunnel. Hey brother. Thank you. See you next time. A void monster greeted them before entering the space-time tunnel. Rumble, in the next second, Xia Ping followed the void monster into the space-time tunnel. After entering the spatial tunnel, Xia Ping's eyes widened. He realized that the spatial tunnel was transparent and showed the situation outside. Outside the spatial tunnel was a boundless chaotic world. Terrifying chaotic air currents filled the place and this power seemed to be able to destroy everything. Ordinary life forms would be instantly destroyed if they entered the chaotic void. Even ordinary sages couldn't survive in such a chaotic void. If they wanted to survive, they would have to be at least in the immemorial ancient realm. Of course, they could barely survive. If they encountered any terrifying monsters in the chaotic void, they would probably be swallowed in one bite and die without a complete corpse. He took a closer look and found that there was nothing in the chaotic void, as if nothing existed. Even with the Golden Crow's eye of hell, he couldn't see anything. Everywhere was filled with nothingness, as if it was a dead void. No wonder even the evil god that can travel the chaotic void took a long time to find a new universe. So, the chaotic void is so huge? Xia Ping felt that his horizons had been broadened. He thought that the universe was huge enough but compared to the chaotic void, it was just a tiny dot. One universe after another was scattered around the primal chaos void, just like a speck of dust. Walalat, the void monster traveled in the spatial tunnel at an extremely fast speed. It seemed to be supported by the space-time force of the spatial tunnel as it traversed the entire tunnel at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, 7 days and 7 nights passed. After a long time, it finally reached the end. This is the evil god universe? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and looked at the vast universe at the end of the spatial tunnel. However, this evil god universe was clearly different from the hell world. It emitted extraordinary energy and aura. Chapter 2864. It really is an extremely evil universe. Xia Ping stared at the evil god universe. Although he couldn't see the entire evil god universe and could only see a part of it, it was enough to display the tip of the iceberg of the evil god universe. The evil god universe was completely black and filled with chaotic, distorted, evil, dark, and other energies. Terrifying dark energy wrapped around it and kept tumbling. Every wisp of dark energy seemed to be alive. Ordinary life forms wouldn't be able to withstand such chaotic and evil mental pressure. They would go crazy and their brains might even explode. Just like the information, it is indeed on the verge of extinction. It's time for the next reincarnation. Xia Ping activated the Hell Golden Crow's eye and discovered that the supposedly perfect heretic god universe was now filled with densely packed holes that connected to the chaotic void outside the universe. It was like a planet that had many holes in it. Many places had collapsed. From the depths of the evil god universe, there was an aura of decay and destruction. It was like an old man who was about to die of old age. If they didn't obtain enough universe source, the evil god universe would probably be destroyed. By then, all life forms in the evil god universe, including the evil gods, would die. It was no wonder that the evil gods were so crazy and reckless. Of course, the so-called destruction was relative to the lifespan of the universe itself. If it was relative to the lifespan of mortals, even if billions of eras passed, the evil god universe wouldn't be in danger of destruction. It could be said that mortals wouldn't even have the chance to witness the destruction of the universe. Only the undying gods would worry about such things. Boom. At this moment, the void monster that Xia Ping had possessed finally reached the end of the space-time tunnel. In an instant, he appeared in the evil god universe. Oh no, I'm being targeted. Is this the feeling of being rejected by other universe sources? In an instant, Xia Ping sensed that there was malice everywhere around him. It was like the entire universe was targeting him. It was like a mysterious and powerful force of origin was trying to expel him. However, his cultivation was only at the perfected archaic realm. To the evil god universe, he was just a small d. Only gods would be worthy of the attention of the universe source. Moreover, the evil god universe was in its twilight years and wasn't as terrifying as it was at its peak. Therefore, its power against external enemies had been weakened by many times. Even so, his power was still suppressed by the evil god universe's source by at least 50%. It was no wonder that life forms from different universes had to be extremely careful when entering other universes. After all, the suppression of strength was too severe. If they encountered a strong opponent, they would probably die. Moreover, if they offended the universe source, they would be targeted by the universe source. They would definitely be met with misfortune. At this moment, he could sense that an endless aura of misfortune was gathering towards him. I am a being of the evil god universe. In that instant, Xia Ping did not hesitate and immediately circulated the authority of the true demon god. Instantly, a supreme demonic god's power enveloped his entire body, seemingly distorting the origin laws of the universe. It was replacing origin laws of origin. It was God universe, of God universe source power. It was as if Xia Ping's aura had completely changed and fused with the fiend god universe, causing him to become a life form of the fiend god universe. It was as if he had been born in the fiend god universe. If he god of God of God, he had it one he of his a fake of world. It can't be. He really succeeded. Xia Ping's eyes widened. He found it unbelievable. The power of God universe was too terrifying. It was no wonder he was once one of the strongest demon gods in hell. This god power that could deceive all laws of the universe was amazing. If the evil god had such power, hell would not have survived for so long. It would have been devoured by the evil god universe the moment it was discovered. The more he thought about it, the more he realized how powerful the true demon god was. He wondered how such a demon god had fallen. The flow of time in the evil god universe is different from hell and the main universe. As a primordial sage, Xia Ping quickly sensed that the flow of time in the evil god universe was different from his own universe. In fact, it was normal for different universes to have different flow of time. Some had faster flow of time. Some had slower flow of time. Universes like hell and the main universe had the same flow of time. That was rare. He narrowed his eyes and sensed the laws of time and space. He got the ratio of the flow of time between the evil god universe and the main universe. Without a doubt, the flow of time in the evil god universe was much faster. A day in the main universe would be 100 years in the evil god universe. This was a terrifying ratio of time. It meant that if he stayed in the main universe for a few days, a few hundred years would pass in the evil god universe. On the other hand, even if a few thousand years passed in the evil god universe, only a few dozen days would pass in the main universe. The flow of time in the evil god universe is very fast. It seems like I can stay here for a long time. Xia Ping touched his chin and felt very satisfied. If he operated the eternal clock, he could adjust the flow of time. The problem was that it would consume a huge amount of energy. Even if he was rich, he could not afford such consumption. However, it was different in the evil god universe. He did not need much energy. Moreover, he was a primordial sage. He had an eternal lifespan. He did not need to care about the consumption of time. He did not need to worry about dying of old age. Let me study the situation of this place first. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and started to explore this place. At this moment, in the world of the classic of mountains and seas. What's going on? The internet has been disconnected. Tan Minglu, Chong Xiaoqian, and the others shouted. Their faces were green like plants. They were fighting a crucial group battle and were about to be wiped out. However, the internet had been disconnected at this moment. It was unforgivable. They were filled with anger. It must be the regent. That bastard doesn't like us going online every day, so he disconnected us. Chong Xiaoqian gritted her teeth. This won't do. We have to find Master to solve this problem. We can skip meals, but we can't skip the internet. Tan Minglu shouted. The other Gaia Lolas could not help but nod in agreement. They could not imagine a life without the internet. It was worse than being in jail. Chapter 2865. Sush. At this moment, the green ox appeared beside Tan Minglu and the rest. Grandpa, what's going on with the internet? Why is it suddenly disconnected? Can you fix it quickly? When Chong Xiaoqian and the rest saw the green ox, they immediately looked for him like a broken computer player looking for the network manager to solve the problem. Oh, it's like this. Master has gone to another universe. The internet won't be able to be restored in a short period of time because there's no signal in another universe. The green ox explained. Another universe. Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu, and the Gaia Lolas were confused. They had no concept of the universe, let alone other universes. It's like this. The green ox explained the concept of multiple universes to them. What? This bastard master has gone to another universe? How can he run so fast? And he even disconnected our internet? What should we do now? Tan Minglu's face turned green. She didn't care about going to another universe. To her, it was just a change of location. It wasn't a big deal. The most important problem now was that they had no way to go online. It was as if they had gone to a backward place without any signal. They were simply cut off from the world. Originally, there was no signal in the hell world. However, after the black hole worm race opened up a spatial tunnel, they seemed to have introduced the universe virtual network signal into the hell world. That was how they could go online in hell. However, there was no way to go to the evil god universe. All the signals had been disconnected. It can't be. He went to another universe. The Gaia Lolas were stunned. They couldn't imagine that there were so many universes in this world. Furthermore, they were only living in one of them. It was an eye-opener. Furthermore, the other party had left their universe. Even the leader of their Gaia race couldn't do such a thing. What kind of terrifying person were they following? All of them were dumbfounded. That's right. Disconnecting the internet is a very serious matter. Can you get the regent to come back quickly? What's so good about going to another universe where there's no internet? Chong Xiaoqian shouted. I'm afraid not. Master won't be able to come back in a short period of time. The green ox shook his head. A short period of time? How short is that? Tan Minglu keenly sensed this problem. That's because the flow of time in the two universes is different. A day in the modern universe is 100 years in the Fiend God universe. Currently, Master will stay in the Fiend God universe for at least a few hundred years before returning, but only a few days might have passed in the modern universe. The green bull indicated that he would stay for at least a few hundred years. A few hundred years? It's over, it's completely over. I won't be able to go online for hundreds of years. I might as well just die. Tan Minglu and Chong Xiaoqian's faces were ashen. Thinking about how they couldn't go online for hundreds of years, it was like going to jail. No, it was even worse than going to jail. What did they do wrong? Did they have to be treated like this because they liked to play games online? To be honest, they couldn't imagine a life without access to the internet. Right, doesn't the world of the classic of mountains and seas use spatial passageways? We can just run back to our original universe. There's no need to stay in this boring place with that bastard master. Tan Minglu immediately thought of this. This won't do. The spatial passageway can no longer be connected. The green ox shook his head, indicating that there was nothing he could do. The reason why the classic of mountains and seas could connect to different places was because it could sense the spatial node in another place. The two would resonate and form a spatial passageway. However, they were now in another universe, and there was no way to sense the other spatial node. It was as if the signal had been blocked. It was impossible to use the world of the classic of mountains and seas to return to the current universe. Dead, I'm dead. There's no meaning to life anymore. With a thud, Tan Minglu and Chong Xiaoqian fell to the ground. Their faces were ashen, and their eyes had lost their color. White smoke came out of their mouths, and it was as if their souls had ascended to heaven. They were like salted fish, motionless. Seeing this, the green ox felt very helpless. Perhaps he could use this opportunity to cure their internet addiction, lest they continue to fall. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. During this period of time, Xia Ping had been carefully exploring this base. Then, according to the conversations of the surrounding void monsters, he found out that this place was called the Space-Time Palace. It was a base created by the evil god, Key of the Door, Yogesothoth, and many other evil gods. It was the only base used to attack the hellish world. In reality, the evil gods weren't in a cooperative relationship. They were in a competitive relationship, and they might even be enemies. They also had different camps. If the evil gods of different camps discovered a new universe, they would occupy it themselves, and the evil gods of other camps wouldn't interfere. Of course, the resources of the newly discovered universe would naturally belong to them. Moreover, Xia Ping also found out that the evil gods in this universe were usually in a deep sleep, or they would leave the evil god universe to find a new universe in the chaos. They usually wouldn't appear. The reason why they were in a deep sleep was because just being awake would consume a large amount of universe energy. This would speed up the destruction of the evil god universe. Therefore, most of the evil gods would hibernate to minimize the consumption of the universe. Only at the crucial moment would the evil god's minions awaken the evil god to fight. Of course, some powerful evil gods weren't willing to sleep, so they would leave the evil god universe to explore other places. If they could find a new universe, they would be able to obtain more resources and slow down the speed of the universe's decline. Apart from that, the structure of the evil god universe was also unique. It didn't have any so-called stars, and it gave birth to many worlds that were scattered in various corners of the evil god universe. It was said that the evil god universe had trillions of worlds, and there were countless living beings in them. Each evil god ruled at least hundreds of millions of worlds. Some powerful evil gods even ruled trillions of worlds, and their territories were extremely huge. All the lives and resources in these worlds belonged to this evil god, and other evil gods weren't allowed to dip their hands in it. If they wanted to dip their hands in it, there would be a god war. If it was in the past, the evil gods would often fight for territories, but now, such situations were rare. To prevent the universe from being destroyed, they were all in a deep sleep and wouldn't easily wake up. Therefore, the territories of the evil god universe had already been divided, and there wouldn't be any more changes. Let's leave this time-space palace first. Xia Ping decided to leave this base and explore the various worlds in the evil god universe. He wanted to find a way to become a god or other cultivation resources. Chapter 2866. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Xia Ping walked around the worlds of the evil god universe. After a year, he had a rough understanding of the ordinary life forms of the evil god universe. In fact, the main life form of the evil god universe was the human race. They occupied the majority and could be found in every world. The problem was that the human race was also the weakest race and could be considered at the bottom. If one had to use a metaphor, it would be food. The evil gods didn't need the faith of humans at all. They fed on fear. The more fear there was, the stronger the evil gods would be. Therefore, they only needed to instill fear in humans and make them fear the evil gods. Because of this, the humans in this universe were extremely miserable. They would be slaughtered by the dependence of the evil gods at any moment. If the evil gods were in a mood, they would swallow the humans of an entire world and turn them into food. Even when the evil gods were in a deep sleep, many anomalies would be born in the various worlds. These anomalies and the dependence of the evil gods would also kill ordinary humans. Ordinary humans had no way of defending themselves. Of course, there were experts among the humans. The problem was that there were too few experts and they couldn't protect most of the humans. Most importantly, this universe had long been completely corroded by the power of the evil gods. Therefore, if humans wanted to obtain power, they had to be infected with the energy of the evil gods and believe in them to obtain power from the evil gods. The problem was that as weak humans, how could they resist the corrosion of the evil gods' power? Therefore, even if the human experts obtained great power, their lifespans were extremely short. Basically, they would be corroded by the evil gods' power. In the end, their souls and bodies would collapse and they would become monsters. Therefore, the humans in this universe had no hope. They were creatures that were like food. Food. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. The evil gods of this universe treated humans as food, and he felt that the evil gods were food. To be honest, after entering this universe, the Hell Golden Crow bloodline in his body boiled and had the desire to devour. He wanted to burn the entire universe and sacrifice all the evil gods. Without a doubt, if he could sacrifice the entire evil god universe, he would definitely be able to raise his cultivation to an unprecedented realm and reach the supreme realm. Of course, he wasn't so stupid as to expose his strength. If the evil gods discovered him, he would definitely die. Currently, he still needed to develop in a wretched manner. He had to ascend to the realm of gods in order to be able to contend against the evil gods. However, even if he couldn't burn the evil god to death, he could still burn the evil god's dependents. These dependents were extremely strong and many of them were demigod experts. Their bodies also contained a large amount of evil energy, which was very suitable as fuel. If he could burn most of the evil god's underlings to death, his cultivation would definitely improve tremendously. He might even be able to break through to the demigod realm in one go. In his eyes, the entire fiend god universe was a treasure trove. It was simply a supreme cultivation ground. If it's just me, the efficiency will be too low. Looks like I'll have to create some infernal golden crow dependents and have countless subordinates help me burn these evil god dependents to death. Then, I'll take the opportunity to devour large amounts of origin energy. Xia Ping touched his chin. He thought of a way to increase the efficiency, and that was to create a large number of infernal golden crow dependents and have them spread throughout the evil god universe. If there were enough dependents, even if each of them sacrificed one of the evil god's dependents, it would still add up to a tremendous amount of energy. This was using the power of all living beings to cultivate. Also, if the targets were scattered, he would be less likely to expose himself. Using the humans of this universe to deal with the evil gods would also accelerate the destruction of the evil god universe. On the world of Dalos, there was a small village where hundreds of people lived. There were too many such villages in this world. But at this moment, the quiet and peaceful village leader was destroyed. Flames were burning everywhere, broken walls were everywhere, bodies were everywhere, and blood flowed like rivers. Dense cracks appeared on the ground. A horrifying weird bird appeared. It looked like a bird, but its head was like a horse's head. Its wings were like those of a bat, and its body was even larger than an elephant, covered in scales. Its skin was filthy, and its claws were very powerful. Its cries were as ear-piercing as scratching glass. It was tearing the bodies on the ground and seemed to be enjoying its dinner. It was the Syatak weird bird, a subordinate of the evil god. At this moment, a middle-aged man, whose face was covered in blood, knelt on the ground in grief and wailed with wounds all over his body. Why? Why exactly? Lord Syatak, our village has been offering tributes day and night. Why did you kill everyone in our village? The so-called tributes were human beings. Because the strange birds liked to eat people, the people in the village chose to send out a person every few days as food for the strange birds in order to survive. It was a reward for their lives. But even so, no one knew how many people they sent to die as food, but the Syatak weird bird still killed everyone in the village. I'm hungry. The Syatak weird bird glanced at him and said lightly, "Hungry?" Hearing that, the middle-aged man clenched his fists so hard that his nails dug into his flesh. Even though blood flowed out, he did not feel any pain. Because no matter how painful his body was, it was not as painful as the pain in his heart. Because the Syatak weird bird was hungry, his elderly parents, his beautiful wife, and 2 lovely children were all dead. All dead. They were all eaten by the Syatak weird bird. He could still see the broken limbs on the ground, as well as the blood splattered all over the ground. Just because you're hungry, you killed my entire family and slaughtered my entire village. What kind of fucking joke is this? The middle-aged man shouted angrily. He was incomparably furious. He had endured for decades, always bowing and scraping, enduring humiliation, but even if he had endured until the end, there was no way for him to survive. Bootlickers always got nothing in the end. The Syatak weird bird said it was hungry, and the entire village died. All the effort he had put in and all the humiliation he had endured had been in vain. Why were humans treated as food by these monsters and crushed to death like ants? Why? Angry? Food can be angry too? You are just humans. You are just our food. But you dared to attack me. This is a crime punishable by death. I will eat you, the Syatak weird bird said calmly. The strange bird said calmly. To it, this was a matter of course. Whether the other party was angry or happy, it had nothing to do with it. Sogu website. Chapter 2867. It's over. It's dead. That's good too. Father, mother, wife, child, I'm coming to see you. But even if I die, I'll at least bite off a piece of your flesh. When the middle-aged man saw the strange bird attack, his face turned ashen. He knew he was no match for this monster. He couldn't hurt it even if he used all his strength. Even so, he had to show his anger. He was going to die anyway. What was there to be afraid of? At that moment, a figure descended from the sky. A big hand grabbed the strange bird's head and slammed it into the ground. A huge crater was created. What? The middle-aged man's eyes widened in disbelief. He knew how terrifying the strange bird was. Even if a normal human used all his strength, he wouldn't be able to hurt it. However, the person who had suddenly appeared had slapped the strange bird to the ground as easily as smashing tofu. What kind of monstrous strength was that? Before he could figure out what was going on, he saw a dark golden flame appear in the figure's hand. Rumble. In the next second, the strange bird's body was burned by the flame. The strange bird let out a shrill scream. It was more miserable than a pig being slaughtered. It didn't take long for the strange bird to be burned to ashes, leaving no bones behind. It's dead? It died just like that? The middle-aged man swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He couldn't believe his eyes. This terrifying monster that could easily slaughter an entire village was actually killed by this mysterious human so easily. No, he had been burned to death. He had been burned to ashes. This mysterious person was none other than Xia Ping. Do you want to have power? Do you want to kill these monsters with your own hands? Xia Ping came in front of the middle-aged man and said directly, "What?" The middle-aged man was shocked. His heart was in turmoil. Countless thoughts appeared in his mind, but he only said 3 words. "I do." At that moment he understood. It didn't matter if this human was a demon, a god, or if he wanted to use him or do something else. He wanted the power to kill these monsters. Anyway, his home was gone, his family was gone, his wife was gone, and his children were gone. But he was still alive. He wanted revenge. He wanted to take revenge on these monsters who regarded humans as ants. Even if he were to die now, he would drag a few monsters down with him. He wanted to let those monsters know that humans were not food that they could easily kill. That's good. Xia Ping gently tapped the middle-aged man's forehead with his finger, and a drop of dark golden blood immediately seeped into the deepest part of his body. Rumble. In an instant, the middle-aged man felt that his body was filled with power. His injuries were completely healed, and even the blood in his body began to burn. Dark golden flames were emitting from every pore of his body. His entire body seemed to have turned into a man of fire. Such flames seemed to be able to incinerate everything. However, the middle-aged man did not panic. Instead, he felt a sense of security. It was as if the power of this flame originated from the deepest part of his bloodline and was a part of his power. "Why did you give me power? What kind of power was this? What do you need me to do?" The middle-aged man looked at Xia Ping and suppressed the excitement in his heart. If he had such power in the past, the people around him might not have died. But he also knew that it was not so simple to obtain power. He had to pay a price. This is the power of the Furnace Lord. It requires its believers to sacrifice all evil creatures as a reward. The more evil creatures you sacrifice, the greater the reward you receive. Xia Ping explained. He wanted to call himself the Lord of Hell, but after careful consideration, he could not reveal his identity. Otherwise, the evil gods would know that enemies from other universes had come to their universe and would search for them. When that happened, he would be in big trouble. It did not conform to the principle of wretched growth. So, he changed to a more suitable name and called himself the Furnace Master. It was indeed suitable. It could burn all evil creatures and smelt everything. Sacrifice evil creatures? What are evil creatures? The middle-aged man was stunned. Evil ghosts, evil spirits, evil gods' minions, and even evil gods. Xia Ping said, "What? Evil god?" The middle-aged man was shocked and couldn't help but swallow his saliva. He had also heard that there were many evil gods in the world, and the believers had also offered many sacrifices. However, all of them were the most precious treasures in the world, or human beings or something like that. He had never heard of a god in the world who needed those evil creatures as sacrifices. Moreover, they wanted to sacrifice evil gods. Just how terrifying were they? Without a doubt, this was a terrifying god that ate evil gods. His greatness exceeded his imagination. Waves rose up in the depths of his heart. "Right, what is your name?" Xia Ping looked at the middle-aged man. "I am Brower." The middle-aged man said solemnly. "Very good. Remember, you are not allowed to say anything about the Furnace Master. Otherwise, you will definitely die." Xia Ping took out the cause and effect book and recorded the middle-aged man's name. Instantly, the cause and effect book recorded the middle-aged man's name and established a cause and effect relationship. Once Brower leaked news about the Furnace Master, he would instantly die. Once he was on the life and death book, his life and death would be up to the heavens and not him. This was also Xia Ping's method to reduce the chance of exposing his identity. Even if one of his dependents was captured, He wouldn't be able to expose his news and the exact location of the furnace master. Of course, he had benefits too. At least after he was on the life and death book, he wouldn't be affected by the evil god's power and wouldn't be easily tracked. I understand. The middle-aged man nodded his head seriously. He knew how terrifying the god was. Once he called his name, he would be sensed, and no matter where he fled to, he would definitely die. As a life form from the evil god universe, he knew about such laws. Very good. Xia Ping pointed, and instantly he was enlightened. He imparted a portion of the middle-aged man's cultivation techniques, combat techniques, and also how to create the furnace master dependence. Actually, as long as one had a bit of Hell Golden Crow bloodline, one would become a dependent. This was the terrifying corrosive ability of the demon god bloodline. This was why even dependents could be created. As more and more evil god dependents and beings were sacrificed, the bloodline in their bodies would get thicker and thicker, and they would become stronger and stronger. Chapter 2868. When the number of Hell Crow dependents in this universe increased, he wouldn't need to do it himself. It would be like a rolling snowball, one leading the other, constantly growing stronger. With a thud, the middle-aged man, Brower, groaned and fainted on the ground. It was obvious that his soul couldn't handle so many memories, so he temporarily fainted. However, when he woke up, he would be fully recovered. In fact, Xia Ping had found thousands of dependents like Brower in this world. They were scattered all over this world to be the seeds of the furnace. As long as these seeds completely grew, they would quickly germinate. That's right, I still have to leave hell ants in this world. Xia Ping waved his hand, and a chubby hell queen ant immediately appeared in his palm. This was also the origin of the hell ants. The huge hell ants were all born from the hell queen ants. There were many similar hell queen ants in the world of the classic of mountains and seas. There were billions of them, and they were constantly multiplying. At the same time, he had also forcefully turned these hell queen ants into dependents and integrated them with the nether god curse. Therefore, these hell ants could be considered his capable subordinates. Originally, these hell ants were creatures from the hell world and would be targeted by the fiend god universe's origin. However, Xia Ping had used the power of the true demon god to deceive the origin laws of this universe, causing the hell ants to become the native creatures of this universe. Therefore, the fiend god universe's origin would not continue to target the hell ants. Go and reproduce in this world. There are no natural enemies of the hell ants in this world. Therefore, every underground corner of this world is the territory of the hell ants. Xia Ping said to the hell queen ant, "Yes, master." The hellish mother ant was excited. A world without any natural enemies was simply a paradise. To the hellish ant race, this was unparalleled good news. In an instant, Xia Ping waved his hand and immediately sent the Hell Queen ant into the deepest part of a cave in a mountain. Currently, the Hell Queen ant was at its weakest. When it grew billions of hell ants, it would be able to sweep everything. Moreover, they basically ate everything. They ate soil, iron, living creatures, lava, nether ghosts, and evil spirits. They were not picky at all. No matter where they went, they would be able to survive. As long as they were given enough time, they would be able to grow quickly. The number of hellish ants couldn't exceed 100 million. If there were more than 100 million, they would be invincible. In this world, with the Furnace Lord's dependents as seeds and the hellish ants as backup troops, it wouldn't be long before this world would be completely ruled by him. Moreover, most of the evil gods in the evil god universe were in deep slumber. They wouldn't wake up easily, so now was the best time to poach them. When these evil gods awaken, the entire universe will change. There will be followers and followers of the Furnace Lord everywhere. Alright, let's go to the next world. With a thought, Xia Ping scanned the entire world and immediately decided to head to the next world. After all, there were trillions of great thousand worlds in the evil god universe. He had only laid the foundation in one of the great thousand worlds, and it was far from being the beginning. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. During the past 3 years, Xia Ping had transformed into tens of millions of clones. As the master of the furnace, he had traveled through millions upon millions of worlds, spreading the seeds of the furnace and the hellish ants. Because of that, the hellish golden crows were everywhere. Although these dependents hadn't fully grown up, they had already started to show their prowess in various worlds. They had burned numerous evil god dependents to death. As the hellish golden crow, the master of the furnace, he had obtained huge benefits. Endless source energy surged over, causing the many hellish golden crow cells in his body to awaken. One could say that he had obtained huge benefits this time, and his strength had increased crazily. Master, there is a problem. Just at that moment, Xia Ping was planning to continue spreading the seeds to increase dependence, but the green cow's voice rang out in his mind. What happened? Xia Ping asked. Come in and take a look. Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu, and the others have gone crazy. The green cow's voice was filled with helplessness. Crazy? What is going on? Thinking about this, Xia Ping's body flashed and he returned to the classic of mountain and sea world. Instantly he saw Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Minglu, and a few Gaia Lolas fishing by the river. This was totally unprecedented. When did these Lolas learn to fish? This was unheard of. He understood what the green cow was worried about right away. It seemed like they had indeed gone crazy. Oh, master is here. Tan Minglu glanced at Xia Ping indifferently. Then she focused on fishing. What are you all doing? Xia Ping's mouth twitched. As master can see, we are fishing. Tan Minglu gave off the aura of an enlightened monk. She seemed to have seen through the mortal world, and her aura seemed to have merged with heaven and earth. Fishing? Why aren't you fishing? Why aren't you going online? Xia Ping asked. When they heard the word online, Tan Minglu, Chong Xiaoqian, and the other Lolas bodies shuddered. But very quickly, they calmed down. Go online? What is going online? Something like the internet is just a cloud to me. It doesn't matter. Only fishing can bring us peace of mind. Tan Minglu's words were filled with wisdom. That's right. Ever since I stopped going online, I realized that this world is incomparably beautiful. The sky is so blue, the trees are so green. Even the world is so vast. I can go on excursions with my friends, fish, pick flowers, climb mountains, fly kites, and so on. After leaving the internet world, my life suddenly became vivid and fulfilling. Chong Xiaoqian sighed, expressing that her life had been very fulfilling recently. Previously, she went online every day and spent money playing games. It was a waste of time, life, and money. Now, she was a little regretful. Life now was so good. It was simply rich and colorful. It didn't consume money, and it was green and environmentally friendly. She felt that her moral cultivation and mental state had improved a lot. Then why don't you bring bait when you go fishing? Xia Ping acutely sensed that there was a problem. This is called taking the bait willingly. Do you know how to fish? All you do is kill and destroy flowers and plants. You don't even know how to cultivate your emotions. You're just a boorish man. Chong Xiaoqian said in disdain. That's right. This is the supreme realm of fishing. People like you who have never fished before will not understand. Tan Minglu also looked down on Xia Ping. The other Gaia Lolas also nodded vigorously. Didn't you eat all the bait just now? Little Gold blinked and looked at Tan Minglu. Bait? That's a snack. Even though she was exposed, Tan Minglu's expression did not change. Chapter 2869. Cough, cough. Hearing that, Xia Ping coughed. I see. I was a little worried that you guys would have psychological problems after not going online for so long. I didn't expect you guys to have reached the level of a monk. Looks like I underestimated you guys. Master, you're being too serious. It's just the internet. It's not that I can't do without it, it's that the internet can't do without us. Tan Minglu waved her hand, indicating that she was no longer the girl who was addicted to the internet. After 4 years of being disconnected from the internet, she had already seen through the world. It was nothing without the internet. It's just the internet. Without Butcher Zhang, you won't be able to eat pigs. Chong Xiaoqian said in disdain. She had already adapted to the world without the internet. As a king, her self-control was extremely strong. That's good. After all, we might have to stay here for a few thousand years. Looks like you guys have adapted to the world without the internet. I'm relieved. Xia Ping was very satisfied. Just as Xia Ping finished speaking, Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Minglu fell to the ground. They seemed to be unable to take it anymore. Their eyes rolled back and they foamed at the mouth. They fell to the ground and kept convulsing. It's over. Big Sister Minglu is going to die. Sister Xiaoqian's mind is severely injured. She's in danger. Pinch her philtrum. Quick, pinch her philtrum. When the Gaia Lolas saw this, they immediately screamed and panicked. They pinched their philtrum and gave them mouth-to-mouth resuscitation before they were saved. Sob sob, why did you save me? In a world without the internet, I'd rather die. At this moment, Tan Minglu woke up and wailed, Bastard Master, do you know how I've been living for the past 4 years? It's been like a year. This is hell, no, a place even scarier than hell. In this godforsaken place, there are no games to play, no newbies to abuse, and no netizens to brag. Who doesn't know that netizens are all geniuses? I've been looking at the blue sky and white clouds for 4 years. I'm sick of it. Now you're telling me that I have to watch for a few thousand years? You might as well just kill me. You're a demon. Regent, let us go back. This is a godforsaken place. I don't want to be a king anymore. I can abdicate my throne to you. Chong Xiaoqian hugged Xia Ping's leg and cried. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Not only did the 4 years of disconnection not solve their addiction, it even worsened their condition. Didn't you say that you don't need the internet? Xia Ping said. Bullshit, it's all bullshit. In fact, without the internet, every day feels like a year. I can't even stand a second. Tan Minglu expressed that she wasn't going to act pretentious anymore. She had been bragging just now. That's right, I can testify. Sister Minglu used to eat over 100 tons a day, but now she's only eating 99. 9 tons. She's in a bad mood and is starving. Chong Xiaoqian raised her hand to testify. I can tell. Xia Ping was speechless. That's why we should hurry back. What kind of bullshit universe is this? There's no internet or games. It's not good at all. Tan Minglu and Chong Xiaoqian looked at Xia Ping helplessly. It's hard to go back. That space-time tunnel is currently occupied by Evil God Universe's evil god. I can't go back in a short period of time. Xia Ping found an excuse because he hadn't completed his plan. How could he want to go back so quickly? We're dead. We're completely dead. Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Minglu lay limply on the ground. Their faces were ashen, and they seemed to have no strength left in them. But it isn't like there's no way. Just at that moment, Xia Ping changed the topic. Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Minglu opened their eyes wide and stared at Xia Ping. That is to open a new space-time tunnel to connect Evil God Universe and Hell World. That way, we can avoid Evil God's surveillance and enter Evil God Universe and Hell World freely. Xia Ping gave them an idea. Then, what are we waiting for? Let's open it up. Tan Minglu's eyes lit up and she was a little eager. Right, it is just digging a space-time tunnel. My black hole bug race is good at digging space-time tunnels. This is just a small matter for black hole bugs. Chong Xiaoqian shouted. She expressed that this was the talent of her race and it was just a small matter. No, you guys are too weak. The distance between universes is very far. Moreover, there are chaotic currents that can obliterate all matter. At the very least, you have to advance to the primordial saint realm, or even the primordial saint realm to be able to do this. Xia Ping shook his head. Then, let's advance. Right, even if we die, we have to dig a space-time tunnel. Whoever dares to stop us from going online, we will kill them. Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Minglu gritted their teeth and gave off a vengeful aura. Right, we can help too. The few Gaia Lolas shouted too. Me too. Little Gold cheered from the side. When he saw that, Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Before this, he had thought of many ways to make the few of them cultivate hard, but no matter what he did, it was to no avail. If they weren't eating and sleeping, they were playing games. But now, for the sake of going online, the few of them were totally crazy. It was as if they had unprecedented motivation and wanted to raise their strength. Truthfully speaking, he wasn't lying. In truth, Evil God Universe was in a state of destruction and there were space-time wormholes everywhere. Using these wormholes, one could head to other universes. But to head to other universes, the most important thing was the space-time tunnel. Without a stable and hidden space-time tunnel, one would be wiped out by the chaotic energy currents. He didn't have time to do such things and there was no need. After all, he could use the space-time tunnel that Evil God opened at any time. But if Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu were willing to help and had the strength to help, naturally, it would be better to open up a new, hidden space-time tunnel. That way, even if he destroyed the space-time tunnel that Evil God built, he could use other tunnels to enter Evil God Universe. Moreover, it would be safer that way. It was like opening a back door to Evil God Universe. Moreover, the black hole worm did have such strength, especially the black hole worm king. Her talent was unprecedented and after merging with the Hell Golden Crow Demon God bloodline, it totally changed her talents. She could definitely open a space-time tunnel in the chaotic space. But in the past, she spent all her time gaming and wasted her talent. But if she cultivated again because of this matter, she would definitely be able to raise her cultivation quickly. Moreover, Xia Ping had large amounts of time fruits, space fruits, world fruits, etc. They could increase their strength quickly. Since that is the case, then I will leave this to you. Xia Ping smiled. Don't worry, it is just a space-time tunnel. We will deal with it quickly. Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Menglu and the few other Lolas shouted loudly and they were filled with confidence. Chapter 2870. Brother. At that moment, Gaia and Dumbo appeared beside Xia Ping. Dumbo, you're awake? Xia Ping smiled. He sensed that Dumbo's strength had improved a lot compared to before. She had advanced to the peak of the Middle Ages Saint Realm. Her cultivation speed was many times faster than the other Gaias. This was also thanks to the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline in her body. It enhanced her aptitude, making her Gaia aptitude surpass all the previous Gaias. After all, even if Gaia was the darling of this era of the universe, it was impossible to compare to an ultimate demon like the Golden Crow of Hell. The Gaia race only had the potential to become an ultimate race, but it did not mean that they would definitely succeed. However, the Golden Crow of Hell had become an ultimate existence. The two could not be compared at all. In terms of bloodline power, it surpassed Gaia by leaps and bounds. At the same time, the multiple evolutions of the classic of mountains and seas had given her great benefits. This is Gaia. It's Gaia? Seeing Dumbo appear, the Gaia Lolas were dumbfounded. They did not expect to see another Gaia in this place. Moreover, it was not a predecessor born in Gaia Paradise, but a member of the race who had wandered outside. However, although this was very rare, it did not mean that it would not happen. After all, the birth of Gaia was a miracle of the universe. Even the predecessors of the Gaia race did not know how Gaia was born. It was normal that they did not know of Dumbo's existence. After all, Dumbo had been in a deep sleep and had never met these Gaia Lolas. At that moment, they looked at each other. Although they did not know how this human contracted Gaia, it seemed that Sister Gaia had not been mistreated. Immediately, they had a good impression of Xia Ping. Yes, I just woke up because I suddenly sensed that I seem to have come to a place full of disasters. I feel that this place seems to be of great benefit to my cultivation. Gaia Dumbo said. I see. Xia Ping immediately understood why Dumbo had woken up. This was because Dumbo's talent was disaster. She controlled the endless disaster laws and could devour the endless power of disasters. The more natural and man-made disasters there were, the more it could strengthen Dumbo's power. And in this world, was there a disaster more terrifying than the collapse of the universe, the destruction of the universe, and the reincarnation of eras? The evil god universe was facing an extremely terrifying disaster, and everywhere was filled with the aura of disaster. One could imagine the benefits of such a place for Dumbo. If Dumbo could devour enough disaster energy, there would be no bottlenecks in her cultivation. She might even be able to become a sovereign god who could control disaster energy. At that time, wherever she went, all disasters would retreat. With a single command, the enemy would instantly suffer countless disasters. Let me help with the matter regarding the space-time tunnel. Dumbo said. Although she did not know how to excavate the space-time tunnel, she could help to resist the disaster that would occur during the excavation. After all, digging a stable space-time tunnel, especially in the primal chaos void, was dangerous. That's great, big sister. You're still the most reliable at crucial times. With a swoosh, Tan Minglu flew over and hugged Dumbo's thigh, constantly flattering him. With my Grand Marshal of the Armed Forces making a move, the matter has been settled. Chong Xiaoqian gave Dumbo the title of Grand Marshal of the Armed Forces. However, Xia Ping did not interfere in this matter and let them act on their own. At the same time, he also used the power of the true demon god to conceal their aura, so that they would not be targeted by the evil god universe's origin. In the blink of an eye, several hundred years had passed in the evil god universe. During this period of time, Xia Ping had traveled through billions of Great Thousand Worlds. His footprints covered every corner of the Great Thousand Worlds, leaving behind countless furnace seeds, which gave birth to a large number of infernal golden crow dependents. At the same time, these infernal golden crow dependents were constantly developing and taking in large numbers of disciples. It could be said that the number of dependents was increasing at a geometric rate. In just a few hundred years, these dependents had already gained considerable influence in various Great Thousand Worlds. They had even made a name for themselves and were known as furnace wizards by the world. Many evil god dependents, evil spirits, monsters, and other creatures were extremely afraid of these furnace wizards, because the flames on their bodies could easily burn them to death. Such flames were like the natural nemesis of evil creatures. In the past, they had been tyrannical and used humans as food, causing many worlds to enter an era of darkness and ignorance. Countless humans had led extremely miserable lives. What they relied on was their evil body and their undying body. Weak humans couldn't even cause them any harm, let alone resist. However, it was different now. The flames on these furnace wizards could burn everything. Once they came into contact with them, they would die without a doubt. Even their souls would be burned to ashes. One could imagine how much these evil creatures feared the furnace wizards. Originally, these evil creatures wanted to exterminate the furnace wizards. However, the speed at which the furnace wizards grew was simply too fast. As long as they burned these evil creatures to death, they would be able to strengthen the power of their bloodline, causing their strength to increase greatly. It could be said that it did not take long for the furnace wizards to grow into the experts of their respective worlds. If not for the fear of the evil god, who knew how many evil god dependents would have been burned to death? During this period of time, the hell ants had also developed greatly. Every sector had a nest of hell ants, and their numbers reached trillions. They simply covered the underground of a large world, and they'd obviously become overlord-level beings. Everywhere they went, it was simply like the end of the world, and they swept through everything and completely devoured all living beings and matter. Because the furnace wizards and the hell ants were both dependents of Xia Ping, they had a natural affinity with each other. To a certain extent, the furnace wizards could also borrow the power of the hell ants. Therefore, with the terrifying power of the hell ants, the furnace wizards had escaped disaster after disaster, causing countless enemies and forces who tried to exterminate the furnace wizards to die. Due to the efforts of these furnace wizards, Xia Ping also took the opportunity to devour a large amount of cosmic origin energy, allowing his body to store a huge amount of energy. At the same time, his cultivation rose to the peak. He was just one step away from comprehending the law of life and death and becoming an invincible saint. In fact, without the efforts of these furnace wizards, he did not know how long it would take for him to accumulate enough energy to become an invincible saint after burning so many evil god dependents. Chapter 2871. Due to the large increase in the number of furnace wizards, it attracted the attention of many evil god dependents. The appearance of furnace wizards, in particular, greatly threatened their survival. Damn, where did these furnace wizards come from? I'm not sure. Until now, we haven't found out where their power comes from. It must be the power of some evil god. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so terrifying. It's simply restraining all our powers. They're just humans, but they actually dare to grasp power that can threaten us. They're asking for death. Many evil god dependents gritted their teeth. They were very unhappy with the appearance of furnace wizards because they were the only ones who could grasp power in this world. Other creatures were just ants and food. They couldn't grasp any power. Kill them. We must kill these furnace wizards. Some evil god dependents hollered in rage. They hated these furnace wizards to the bone. No, these furnace wizards are too cunning and very strong. They can even challenge those of a higher level. The flames on their bodies are extremely terrifying. If dozens of furnace wizards gather together, they can even sacrifice powerful monsters. Legend has it that they can also control the terrifying monsters that have been flooding the various worlds recently. Some evil god dependents were very helpless. They had long wanted to wipe out these furnace wizards, but the problem was that these furnace wizards not only grew extremely fast, but they could also challenge those of a higher level. They even grouped up and attacked in groups of tens or hundreds. Countless evil god dependents had died in the hands of these furnace wizards. One had to know that monsters were still rare in the evil god universe. The race with the highest population was humans. If they exchanged monsters for monsters, no matter how one looked at it, the evil god dependents would be at a disadvantage. Most importantly, being a furnace wizard did not seem to require much aptitude. Anyone could become a furnace wizard and control the terrifying power of fire. This profession completely treated the evil god dependents as cultivation resources. It seemed like as long as they killed them, they would be able to rapidly increase the power of the furnace wizards. This made the furnace wizards even crazier. Anyway, these evil creatures and evil god dependents were natural enemies of humans. Killing them was the duty of humans. Now, killing these guys could actually increase one's strength. It could be said that many furnace wizards had appeared all over the world to hunt monsters. In the past, when humans encountered freaks, monsters would always avoid them. But now, he actually took the initiative to look for them, hunting them everywhere. Instead, they were scared into hiding. What kind of joke was this? Evil god. There must be a powerful evil god behind these furnace wizards. Otherwise, these humans wouldn't be able to control such power. An evil god follower roared. This is no longer something we can solve. Let's report this to the evil god. As long as the evil god personally takes action and captures the evil god behind the furnace wizards, these furnace wizards will lose their source of power and become obedient food. This world will still be the evil god's world. Mere humans won't be able to do anything. An evil god's follower laughed coldly. I had planned to awaken Lord Evil God before, but he is still in a deep slumber and cannot be awakened for the time being. We can only deal with this matter on our own for now. No way, Lord Evil God is still asleep. When will he wake up? No one knows. After all, it's normal for Lord Evil God to sleep for thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of years. The faces of the evil god's followers became solemn. Naturally, they knew that. To Evil God, just a nap would take a few thousand years. A few hundred years wasn't enough for him to wake up. As his followers, they didn't dare to disturb his sleep. Once he was furious, they would all die. The problem was that they didn't expect the furnace wizards to develop so quickly. In just a few hundred years, their strength could compare to some ancient organizations. That was just too terrifying. They didn't dare to believe that if this continued, how terrifying would the furnace wizards become? But there was nothing they could do. Without Evil God's help, they could only solve it themselves. No matter what, they had to kill all the furnace wizards. From that moment on, many Evil God minions started to fight back and started a war with the furnace wizards. The flames of war spread everywhere and many battles broke out. It was really intense. Many of the furnace wizards and evil god followers died. At that moment, mountain and ocean world. Just a little bit more and I will reach half-god realm. Xia Ping's eyes shone brightly. He could feel that his body was filled with an extreme amount of magic power. Every single cell in his body was filled with boundless origin energy. He felt like he could level up at any moment. The world law power in his body was basically full. At that moment, he felt like he could touch the essence of life and death laws. He sensed the power of life and death. In truth, as the Lord of Hell, he could sense the power of life and death. Hell itself was the place where life and death intersected. There was no place that had more death and life power than hell. Hell was the end of all life and also the beginning of life. No, I can't do it now. Before I reach half-god realm, I have to cultivate the origin clone technique. Xia Ping sensed that if he were to advance to the demigod stage and successfully cultivate the origin doppelganger technique, he would have to pay a huge price. Moreover, he had already successfully condensed 5 doppelgangers. He was only 4 away from completing his cultivation. In reality, he had already decided on his 6th clone, which was the Taotai clone. This was the power of Tanmenglu, and the Taotai divine beast was also an extremely powerful creature. Its power was not to be underestimated, and it had the ability to devour, making it very suitable for his 6th clone. Even so, he still had 3 clones that he had yet to form. He had to find the blood that was suitable for the 3 clones. Fortunately, the evil god universe didn't have many things. There were many creatures with all sorts of special bloodlines, and the evil god universe had given birth to many strong creatures and evil gods. Especially those evil gods, they were no weaker than the demon gods of hell. Their bloodlines were extremely strong too. If he could get the bloodline power of those evil gods, he would definitely be able to make Xia Ping's origin clone technique perfect. It would also greatly increase his power. Fallen God Land. Xia Ping immediately thought of this name. In fact, he had been collecting information about the evil god universe for the past few hundred years. The most famous place was the Fallen God Land. Sogu website. Chapter 2872. The so-called Fallen God Land was the place where the evil god fell. It was said that it was the largest main world in the evil god universe. It was called the Land of Gods. Many evil gods lived there. It was very prosperous. But later, these evil gods left for other universes and kept invading. With the power of evil gods, they were invincible and conquered many universes. However, if one walked too much at night, one would eventually encounter a ghost. When they attacked a universe, they encountered an extremely powerful opponent. The opponent was also a powerful dominator god. Its name was Feathered Serpent God. The authority of this sovereign god was extremely terrifying. It was the ability to replicate. In other words, it could duplicate all God's powers. No matter what power or ability they had, it could duplicate them and use them as its own. It was practically invincible among the dominator gods, sweeping through everything in its path. Countless weak evil gods had been killed by it, and even a few dominator gods had been killed by it. In order to kill the Feathered Serpent God, the evil gods had schemed and created a trap. They had pulled the Feathered Serpent God into the evil god universe and used the evil god universe's source energy to suppress the Feathered Serpent God's godly power and weaken its power. Then a group of evil gods attacked it. But Feathered Serpent God didn't fight alone. It had many servants and an ally. It seemed to be a terrifying creature born in the primal chaos void, the primal chaos jellyfish. This jellyfish also had the power of a ruler god. Although it wasn't as strong as Feathered Serpent God, it had a special power, imprisonment. As long as one was swallowed by the jellyfish, no matter how strong the enemy was, they couldn't escape. Its stomach was the strongest prison of the primal chaos. It could even immortal gods. It could even swallow the gods in its stomach to increase its power. When Feathered Serpent God found an enemy it couldn't kill, it would summon the jellyfish to swallow the enemy. The result was obvious. Feathered Serpent God and the jellyfish worked together. Even in the evil god universe and suppressed by the universe's origin power, they could still display terrifying power. Under the leadership of a dominator-level demon god, Demon Eye, countless evil gods charged forward fearlessly. In the end, after hundreds of millions of years of war, the entire evil god universe was destroyed. Finally, with the death of countless evil gods and the death of more than a dozen demon gods, feathered serpent god and the chaos jellyfish were finally buried in this origin world. However, this battle had also dealt a heavy blow to the evil god universe, speeding up its destruction. In fact, the evil gods would fall into deep slumber from time to time, not only to reduce the consumption of the universe source, but also because of that battle, the injuries on their bodies had yet to heal, and they were still injured. After all, their injuries couldn't be healed so easily after experiencing that earth-shattering divine battle. It was also due to the influence of this battle that their invasion of the infernal realm slowed down. Even now, who knew how many years had passed, the evil gods had yet to recover. There must be great opportunities in the fallen god land. Xia Ping clenched his fist. Without a doubt, the fallen god land had countless evil gods that had fallen, causing that place to become a forbidden ground. Even evil gods didn't dare to step into that place easily. However, the blood of countless evil gods flowed in that place. Due to the immortal characteristics of the gods, even after the baptism of billions of years, the blood of the gods wouldn't decay. Moreover, he didn't need to go deep into the fallen godland. As long as he found the blood of some powerful evil gods at the periphery, he would be able to complete the cultivation of his origin clone technique. Therefore, he felt that heading to the fallen godland wasn't too dangerous. Moreover, once he obtained the benefits, not only would he be able to successfully cultivate the origin clone technique, but he would also be able to break through to the demigod realm in one go. A few days later, Xia Ping traversed through countless worlds and traveled for God knew how many light years before he finally arrived at the famous fallen godland. This place was considered the most famous place in the evil god universe, and many of the evil god's dependents knew about it. Is this the fallen god land? He focused his eyes and saw a huge and boundless dark area in the distance. This place was filled with terrifying void cracks in all directions. It seemed like these were eternal void cracks that were shattered by the power of the gods. Even the source energy of the universe couldn't repair them. This could be considered a permanent scar of the universe. From these void cracks, there seemed to be a huge void turbulence that surged in. If ordinary creatures entered, they would instantly be minced into pieces by the void turbulence. However, the void turbulence wasn't the greatest danger. The greatest danger was the evil gods that died tragically in this area. After they died, the evil god power in their bodies lingered, forming a terrifying disaster that emitted curses, death, corrosion, chaos, evilness, and other auras. Once one entered, one's soul and even bloodline would be distorted by the terrifying evil god power. Even the dependents of the evil gods couldn't resist such distortion, chaos, and evilness. Moreover, when the powers of many evil gods intertwined, terrifying monsters would be born. Just by looking from afar, Xia Ping could sense that this was an inauspicious place that would make one flinch. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just then, more than 10 monsters flew over from afar. They were all demigod dependents of the evil gods. They emitted extremely evil power. They were ghouls, giant evil worms, earth-drilling bugs, scary hunters, and other creatures. They were all famous dependents of the evil gods and were in charge of ruling worlds. It wasn't strange for these dependents of the evil gods to come to the fallen godland. Although this place was extremely dangerous and could be considered a forbidden land, many creatures still wanted to wander around here. Perhaps they could find some treasures and opportunities. Huh, a human? Why would a human appear in the fallen godland? What's going on? At that moment, a demigod-level ghoul saw Xia Ping's figure and was instantly taken aback. In the evil god universe, no human would come to the fallen godland. They couldn't even get close. There was no such top expert among the humans. Any human with a bit of strength was basically short-lived. These human experts couldn't withstand the power of the evil gods and turned into chaotic monsters. You're just a human. How dare you come to the fallen godland? You really don't know your place. The giant evil worm sneered. It looked down on humans and thought that humans were just food. As long as it stood beside humans, it would feel embarrassed. Bring him over. I am interested in this human. He is strong enough to come to the fallen godland. I wonder what kind of power he has cultivated. The dread hunter snickered and looked at Xia Ping as if he was looking at his prey. Chapter 2873. Human, get over here right now. The earth-drilling star worm yelled at Xia Ping like it was ordering its servant around. Tell me everything about why you came to the fallen godland. Tell me all the treasures you have and the source of your power. If you don't say anything, I'll kill you and your race. Do you understand? It gave off a terrifying murderous aura as it stared at Xia Ping. The other evil god minions also looked at Xia Ping like they were looking at an ant. They didn't care about Xia Ping at all. Kill me and my race? Just you guys? Xia Ping laughed when he heard that. What's wrong? You look unhappy. What do you want to do? Do you want to fight against the mighty evil god minions? Do you know how to write the word death? The terror hunter stared at Xia Ping as if he could tell that Xia Ping was unhappy. This human is a little crazy. He didn't even kneel down and beg for mercy when he saw us. He's so arrogant. If we don't teach him a lesson, he won't know who the ruler of this universe is. The evil worm was filled with murderous aura. It was a little unhappy and wanted to kill this human and tear him into pieces. In an instant, Xia Ping's body flashed and he appeared next to the earth-drilling star worm without a sound. He was so fast that the space around him didn't even ripple. So fast. The demigod monsters were shocked. They didn't expect this human to be so fast. He was so fast that they couldn't even sense him with their divine senses. Most importantly, when this human moved, he didn't make a sound. He didn't cause any ripples in the space. In fact, Xia Ping hadn't been idle in the past few hundred years. Apart from comprehending the origin laws of the universe and increasing his powers, he also cultivated again. He comprehended many skills and mastered all his skills. The teleportation just now was a speed skill that he created, space-time wings. He had 2 wings on his back. One of them contained the power of time laws while the other contained the power of space laws. When the 2 wings were stacked, he could use space-time powers at the same time. When the space-time wings on his body flapped, space-time turned into ripples. Any space-time fluctuations would be smoothed out, allowing his speed to reach the pinnacle. As long as it was within the range of Xia Ping's divine sense, he would be able to arrive instantly by flapping his space-time wings. Furthermore, he would be able to do so without making a sound. Even a demigod expert would not be able to detect him. In fact, while he was moving, no power of laws could restrain him. All divine abilities and magical techniques were immune to them, and they were all blocked by the power of space and time. This was also the wings of freedom. In the blink of an eye, Xia Ping had arrived beside the earth-boring insect. Without wasting any time with it, he jabbed his finger at the earth-boring insect's body and pierced through it as easily as if it was tofu. Ah! Suddenly, the star-drilling insect let out a shrill scream, more miserable than a pig being slaughtered. At the same time, a dark golden flame surged into the deepest part of its body. Crash! The earth-drilling star worm's entire body was being burned by the infernal golden crow's flames. Its entire body seemed to have turned into a huge torch, burning every cell in its body. In just a breath's time, the earth-boring star worm had turned into a pile of ashes, leaving behind pure origin energy. Not a bad fuel. Xia Ping was very satisfied. Burning a demigod monster to death allowed him to obtain a huge amount of energy. It was actually very rare for him to encounter a demigod monster that was alone. Generally speaking, these demigod monsters lived in the sanctuary and would not appear easily. Over the past hundreds of years, he had rarely encountered these demigod monsters. Now, he could be considered to be in luck. He had actually encountered more than 10 of them, and it just so happened that he had burned all of them to death, using them as energy for him to ascend to the demigod level. He actually killed the earth-boring star worm? Human, you're courting death. You're courting death. You're seeking your own death. Kill him immediately. He's just a lowly human, yet he actually dared to attack the great god of evil's kin. Tear him into pieces. I'm going to devour his flesh and blood. Seeing this, the many demigod monsters were enraged. They were instantly enraged, and an unparalleled rage arose from the depths of their hearts. To them, It was as if an extremely weak ant had actually dared to resist their great ruler and had even been killed. How humiliating was that? If news of this were to spread, they would all become the laughingstock of the other monsters. They had actually been killed by a puny human. This was simply the greatest joke in the world. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More than 10 demigod monsters were infuriated. Terrifying evil energy erupted from their bodies, seemingly turning the entire area into a dark domain that devoured and corroded everything. It was as if this dark power was going to pull Xia Ping into the endless darkness and devour his flesh and blood. That Xia Ping didn't even look at it and roared. Bloodline mystique, soul shriek. This was the bloodline mystique from the Golden Crow of Hell. When he had ascended to the complete archaic realm, the power of this bloodline mystique had increased by countless times. A huge golden crow of hell seemed to have appeared behind him, emitting the might of a demon god. It let out a long shriek into the sky, producing a terrifying soul wave. In an instant, the wave that was close to the laws instantly enveloped these demigod monsters. What? These demigod monsters were dumbfounded. They had not even started attacking Xia Ping. This was just the beginning. However, in the next second, their bodies were attacked by the soul shriek. They could not resist it at all. Their souls were instantly pulled out from the depths of their bodies by a mysterious force. Impossible, this is impossible. What kind of power is this? Help, help, help. This is not a human. This is definitely not a human. This is a monster in a human's body. Many of the demigod-level monsters panicked and were extremely terrified. They had never encountered such a terrifying thing before. With just a scream, their souls were pulled out of their bodies without any ability to resist. This was an unimaginable soul mystique. Without their powerful bodies, only their weak souls were left. They were no different from ordinary creatures. Before these demigod monsters could say anything, the shadow of the golden crow of hell in the depths of the void suddenly opened its mouth, creating a terrifying vortex that produced a terrifying devouring force. In the next second, the souls of these demigod monsters were all devoured by the golden crow of hell. In an instant, the souls of these demigod monsters were refined by the furnace of hell, leaving behind only the purest soul energy. Clearly, these monsters had died in an instant. In this void, only the bodies of more than 10 demigod monsters were left. Sogu website. Chapter 2874. Good material. Xia Ping grabbed all the corpses of the demigod monsters and threw them to the world tree to devour. The corpses of the demigod monsters could not be wasted, as each corpse could be refined into a life and death fruit. It was rare to see a chance to kill a demigod powerhouse. In the modern universe, the death of every demigod powerhouse would cause a huge commotion. However, in the evil god universe, there were many evil gods, let alone demigods. Hence, even if he were to kill a dozen demigods, it wouldn't be a big deal. It wouldn't even cause a commotion. However, Xia Ping's strength was even more terrifying than before. He could kill ordinary demigods easily. They could not resist his attack at all, especially the demigods of evil creatures. The power of the infernal golden crow flames on his body could definitely restrain them, causing them to die faster, and their strength was lower. Rumble, after the world tree obtained the corpses of the demigod-level monsters, countless roots plunged into them and devoured all the corpses within a few breaths. In an instant, more than a dozen life and death fruits grew on the branches of the world tree, emitting an extraordinary aura. So fast. Xia Ping was a little surprised. If the world tree had devoured the corpses of the demigod monsters before, it would not have succeeded in a few months. However, it had devoured all the energy of the corpses of the demigod monsters in a few breaths. Moreover, the world tree seemed to despise the energy of the corpses of the demigod monsters and felt that it was not enough. Has it evolved? Xia Ping immediately knew that the power of the world tree had grown to an unimaginable level after devouring the flesh and energy of the infernal god elephant. Mere corpses of the demigod monsters could not satisfy its growing appetite. After tasting the flesh of the phoenix and the true dragon, it was a little uncomfortable to try ordinary meat. It was the same principle. After trying to devour the flesh and blood of the demon god, it was more or less not enough to devour the flesh and blood of these demigods. Has its appetite become picky? Xia Ping was speechless. He did not expect the world tree to become picky. The corpses of ordinary evil creatures could not satisfy the huge appetite of the world tree. However, this was a good thing. It was a side effect of growth. It's time to go in. After killing these demigods, Xia Ping planned to enter the fallen god land. However, after entering, he activated another bloodline divine ability in his body to predict the future. This was the bloodline divine ability that was born after awakening 1 billion infernal golden crow cells in his body. With his current power, he could predict the future 5 days later. This was a rather terrifying ability. Once one could foresee the future, they would be able to turn calamities into blessings. They were omnipotent. Rumble, in an instant, Xia Ping's soul seemed to have entered the river of destiny. It was as if he had peeped into countless scenes of the future. After entering the fallen godland, he had encountered countless dangers. For example, the Black Whirlpool. It seemed to be a whirlpool formed after the death of an evil god. Once one fell into it, one would probably be instantly swallowed up by the Black Whirlpool and die without a complete corpse. Blood Sea Swamp. This seemed to be a secret realm formed by the fresh blood of many evil gods after they died. This place gave birth to many terrifying monsters. They were indestructible. As long as the blood sea didn't dry up, they wouldn't die. If one was injured by them, the terrifying evil god malevolent energy would surge into the wound. The wound wouldn't heal and one would bleed to death. They were the most difficult monsters to deal with in the fallen godland. Therefore, one shouldn't fight with these monsters. One should avoid them. Dreamland. This was a special secret realm formed after the death of a powerful evil god that controlled the dream world. This was an illusory world that existed between reality and illusion. Once one entered Dreamland, one wouldn't be able to control one's life or death. Unless one could see through the dream and escape, one would be trapped here forever. In fact, even some powerful evil gods couldn't escape from this secret realm. This was an extremely terrifying place. Countless evil gods were terrified when they heard of it. Crazy Mountain Range. This was a mountain range formed by the flesh and soul of the evil gods after they died. It was located in the fallen godland and stretched endlessly through the fallen godland. In such a mountain range, there was a terrifying power that could distort one's soul. If one didn't have enough willpower and soul power, one would fall into a state of insanity. But even demigod experts couldn't block the evil spiritual power of this mountain range. It was basically a dangerous place. Many demigod monsters had appeared in the crazy mountain range before, but they all went crazy and turned into crazy monsters that wandered around the mountain range. Until now, they were still wandering around. As expected, the fallen godland is too dangerous. With a thud, Xia Ping broke free from the river of fate. He saw what would happen in the next 5 days and knew the difficulties he would face. Of course, the dangerous places in the fallen godland couldn't kill him. Now that he had the ability to predict the future, he knew more about the fallen godland and could avoid danger in advance. But I don't need to go deep into the fallen godland. I just need to stay at the periphery. After all, my goal this time is to get the fresh blood of these powerful evil gods. Xia Ping clenched his fists. In fact, the entire fallen godland was the battlefield of the evil gods. They had fought for billions of years and blood was scattered in every corner of the land. There was the blood of powerful evil gods everywhere. But what he wanted the most was the blood of the 3 dominator evil gods, the chaos jellyfish, the feathered serpent god, and the demon eye. The 3 dominator gods were extremely powerful and could be considered the main force of the battle. One could imagine how powerful their bloodlines were. They were definitely not weaker than any demon god from hell. The blood of the 3 dominator demon gods is scattered in the crazy mountain range. Xia Ping immediately found the place where the blood of the 3 dominator demon gods appeared. The closest place to him was the crazy mountain range. Although the crazy mountain range was also extremely dangerous, Its biggest danger was that it could corrode and distort one's soul. But Xia Ping was least afraid of attacks on the soul level. He had the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline and many fortuitous encounters, which caused his soul power to far exceed that of a demigod expert. He didn't know exactly what level it was. Therefore, ordinary soul attacks had no effect on him. Moreover, even if his own soul could not withstand it, the system in his body would be able to help him withstand it. Relatively speaking, the Crazy Mountain Range wasn't that dangerous. It was considered the least dangerous area. Chapter 2875. 3 days later, Crazy Mountain Range, Land of the Fallen God. After Xia Ping entered the Land of the Fallen God, with the guidance of the images from the future, he avoided countless dangers and entered the Crazy Mountain Range safely. Rumble, in an instant, as soon as he entered the Crazy Mountain Range, he immediately felt the terrifying coercion of the evil god erupting from the depths of the mountain range. It was as if endless evil spiritual energy was trying to pollute his soul. In the depths of the void, endless dark energy permeated the air, trying to penetrate his sea of consciousness. Come on, good boy, become one with me. Do you want to become a king, a god, and have power over the world? Believe in me, and I will give you everything. Good boy, sleep, sleep. This is the safest place. You will find peace here. It was as if countless evil voices were vibrating in the depths of his sea of consciousness, buzzing and whispering all the time. Those were the whispers of the evil god. If ordinary creatures heard such voices, they would instantly go crazy. Their souls would be distorted, and they would die with blood flowing out of their 7 orifices. You're courting death. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. The infernal Golden Crow bloodline in his body surged, and the terrifying infernal Golden Crow flames began to burn, turning into eternal flames. Sizzle, sizzle, in an instant, shrill screams came from the depths of the void. The whispers of the evil god and the evil spiritual energy that penetrated his body could not withstand the burning of the infernal Golden Crow flames. As soon as the infernal Golden Crow flames on his body began to burn, it was as if flames had encountered oil. All the evil spiritual creatures were instantly turned into ashes. With his body as the center, the terrifying infernal Golden Crow flames were produced, and the area within a radius of hundreds of kilometers was turned into a boundless sea of fire. The flames even spread wildly in all directions. Rumble, countless evil spiritual creatures hiding in the Crazy Mountain Range let out shrill screams. As soon as they came into contact with the flames, they were instantly burned into ashes. Even the mountains were completely burned. Every inch of soil, every plant, and even every grain of gravel became the best fuel for the infernal Golden Crow flames. It can't be. Is there a fire? Xia Ping was a little confused. He just wanted to enter the Crazy Mountain Range in a low-key manner and try to resist the erosion of the evil spiritual power of the Crazy Mountain Range. However, as soon as he entered the Crazy Mountain Range, the evil energy instantly triggered the infernal Golden Crow bloodline in his body to fight back. No, it should be the infernal Golden Crow's instinct to devour. It was as if this wasn't some crazy mountain range, but delicious food. The infernal Golden Crow's flames burned wildly, spreading out at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wherever the flames passed, all the evil creatures were turned to ashes, burning the ground. So that's how it is. The entire Crazy Mountain Range is fuel and food? Xia Ping immediately understood. Originally, this Crazy Mountain Range was formed from the blood, flesh, and spiritual power of the evil gods. It was equivalent to the essence of the evil god's blood and flesh, and it contained an incomparably evil power. For other living beings, this place was naturally a dangerous place. They couldn't resist the evil god's murmurs at all. Their minds and souls would be instantly distorted and devoured. However, to the Golden Crows of Hell, this was simply a delicacy. If they wanted to burn the other evil gods to death, they would have to fight for 300 rounds. However, these evil gods were already dead, and they were only left as fuel. They were like cooked delicacies. This was like a pie falling from the sky. Naturally, it made the infernal Golden Crow's bloodline desire to devour it. He could feel a huge amount of origin energy surging in his body. His infernal golden crow's bloodline was also crazily awakening, and his power was endlessly increasing. At this moment, the crazy mountain range was no longer a dangerous place. Instead, it was his territory. Found it. It didn't take long before Xia Ping found the demon eye, chaos jellyfish, and feathered serpent god's blood in the depths of the crazy mountain range. It seemed that their blood had turned into 3 huge blood lakes. This was because the bodies of these 3 sovereign gods were simply too big. Even a single drop of blood was as big as a lake to the tiny humans. The 3 blood lakes emitted terrifying demonic pressure. It seemed that ordinary living beings would be crushed by the demonic pressure just by coming to the edge of the lakes. However, he had the infernal golden crow's bloodline. Naturally, he could resist such demonic pressure. This is the blood of a sovereign god? It's really incredible. Xia Ping was amazed. He saw that the demon eye's blood was black and extremely thick, like oil. It contained terrifying, evil, and distorted nomological power. The chaos jellyfish's blood was transparent. If he didn't sense it with his divine sense, he would think that it was a lake without water. It contained incredible nomological power. The feathered serpent god's blood was silver and contained an extremely noble aura. It was ever-changing and all-encompassing. The origin doppelganger technique is finally complete. Xia Ping was very excited. With the blood of these 3 sovereign gods and the Taoye's blood, he could quickly condense the remaining 4 origin doppelganger. Right, I can just cultivate here in the crazy mountain range. Xia Ping looked around. Originally, he wanted to leave this place to cultivate. However, the crazy mountain range was burning crazily. It had become the infernal golden crow's burning hell. It was his main battlefield. Wherever the infernal golden crow's flames spread, no evil creature or evil god could approach. There was probably no safer place in the evil god universe than here. Moreover, as the infernal golden crow's flames burned, he could also take the opportunity to devour large amounts of origin energy. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. There was no better place to cultivate than here. However, I still need to make some arrangements. Even if this place was very safe, it was better to be safe than sorry. Therefore, Xia Ping decided to arrange powerful restrictive array formations around the mountain range. This way, even if other evil creatures or evil gods entered, they would be immediately warned. In fact, the power of such a restrictive formation could even kill the other party. At this moment, after obtaining the blood of the 3 sovereign gods, Xia Ping immediately entered the mountain range to cultivate in seclusion. However, the scene of the crazy mountain range burning with dark golden flames was immediately noticed by many demigod monsters who entered the fallen godland. Even though the fallen godland was extremely dangerous, there were many monsters who entered the fallen godland. They also wanted to obtain the blood of the evil god or even the divine weapon left behind by the evil god. Once they obtained it, they would immediately ascend to the heavens and improve their strength by leaps and bounds. Sogu website. Chapter 2876. What's going on? Why is there a fire in the crazy mountain range all of a sudden? A demigod monster was shocked to see the dark golden fire erupting from the crazy mountain range. It had no idea what was happening in the crazy mountain range. I'm not sure, but this is the fallen godland. No matter what happens, it's normal. Another demigod monster shook its head. However, nothing strange could happen in the fallen godland. Even if there were countless cracks in space, it was possible that all the demigods would be devoured, let alone a fire. Therefore, it was already used to such things. What a terrifying fire. I can feel that if this fire spreads, even a little bit of it will seriously injure us or even kill us. This is the divine fire. A demigod monster looked serious. It could feel the terrifying dark golden fire. It contained a terrifying destructive power that was even more terrifying than the power of the evil god. Its heart palpitated as if it was instinctively warning itself not to get close to the sea of fire. Otherwise, it would definitely die. Of course not. The crazy mountain range is already an extremely terrifying area. Anyone who gets close to such a strange fire will die. The demigods shook their heads. They were not fools. They would not be so stupid as to get close to such a place where they would definitely die. In fact, there were too many similar places in the fallen godland. There might be some treasures there, but even if there were treasures, one would need to be alive to get them. Whatever, let's go. We shouldn't get close to such a dangerous place. The group of demigods left quickly, not daring to get close to the crazy mountain range. The golden crow of hell's fire was still burning slowly, purifying all the evil creatures and burning them into ashes. However, the crazy mountain range was too big. It could be said to be boundless. Even with the golden crow of hell's fire power, it would take a long time to burn it. In the blink of an eye, 100 years had passed. I did it. Xia Ping had also been cultivating in the crazy mountain range. He had finally mastered the origin doppelganger technique and condensed 9 doppelgangers, namely the World Tree doppelganger, the Infernal Golden Crow doppelganger, the Gaia doppelganger, the Kuan-Ping doppelganger, the Infernal Divine Elephant doppelganger, the Taotai doppelganger, the Chaos Jellyfish doppelganger, the Feathered Serpent doppelganger, and the Evil Eye doppelganger. After 100 years of cultivation, he had condensed the remaining 4 clones. They were the Taotai clone, the Primal Chaos Jellyfish clone, the Feathered Serpent God clone, and the Evil Eye clone. The Taoyes clone was extremely powerful. It only had one characteristic, and that was devouring. There was nothing it couldn't devour, as well as an appetite that could never be satisfied. It desired to devour everything in the world. Its stomach was a dimensional pouch that could devour endless things. Even the chaotic airflow that could destroy all living things would be completely devoured by the Tao. Moreover, the hungrier it was, the more terrifying the power it could unleash. The depths of its body were densely engraved with the law of devouring. His body was like a black hole. The way for the Taotai to improve its strength was also very simple, which was to eat. The more it ate, the more delicious the food was, and the faster it would evolve. If there was really no food, the Taotai would automatically enter a state of hibernation. During this period, the consumption of the Taoye's body was almost at the lowest level. The Primal Chaos Jellyfish. Xia Ping looked at the Primal Chaos Jellyfish clone next to him. Its appearance was no different from a jellyfish, like a transparent ball. However, he knew how terrifying the Primal Chaos Jellyfish was. It was indeed a creature born in the Primal Chaos Void. It was really too powerful. Its body was a huge prison that prohibited all the law of power. Even if a deity entered it, all of his divine power would be deprived and he would become immortal. As long as its body touched the enemy, it could devour the enemy. Perhaps because the Primal Chaos Jellyfish had not been dead for too long, after refining its blood, he could still obtain some of its memories from when it was alive. It seemed that when the Primal Chaos Jellyfish roamed in the Primal Chaos Void, it often captured those deities that roamed in the Primal Chaos Void. It did not need to fight with the enemy at all. As long as it got close to the enemy and shrouded the enemy with its transparent body, it could swallow the enemy whole and directly capture the enemy into its stomach. In this way, after entering the Primal Chaos Jellyfish's stomach, whether it wanted to eat or imprison the enemy, it would be up to the Primal Chaos Jellyfish. It was said that in its heyday, the Primal Chaos Jellyfish directly broke into some universes and devoured worlds in these universes. There were billions of living creatures in its stomach. Moreover, it had devoured and imprisoned countless deities. No wonder it's a creature born in the Primal Chaos. It's too strong. Xia Ping was very satisfied. If the Primal Chaos Jellyfish clone was used well, it could exert extraordinary power. It could instantly imprison the enemy into the Primal Chaos Jellyfish's prison, and all the law of power in the enemy's body would be sealed. Even if it encountered enemies that could not be killed, it could also imprison them into the Primal Chaos Jellyfish's body. Feathered Serpent God. Xia Ping turned around and looked at a snake at the side. This was a unique snake with 2 wings that emitted a silvery white luster. It was extremely sacred and contained a powerful aura of a deity. Its eyes were filled with wisdom, as if they contained the mysteries of the entire universe and endless laws. It was said that the feathered serpent god was the strongest deity in a certain universe and could be said to be the ruler of that universe. It ruled over countless deities, and there was no need to mention its strength. It was simply terrifying and invincible. In particular, its authority replication was simply a bug-like ability. It was already amazing for other deities to have 1 or 3 authorities and could be considered powerful deities. However, the feathered serpent god was different. On the surface, it only had 1 authority. However, this authority allowed it to replicate the abilities of countless deities. It was as if it had gathered all the authorities of the deities. As long as it took a fancy to an ability, it would replicate it and take it for itself. With this ability, the feathered serpent god was known as the king of gods, the erudite among the gods, the god of omniscience. There was nothing that it could not learn, only that it did not understand. Of course, this ability was not omnipotent. There were some abilities in the world that could not be replicated. One of them was the restriction power that the chaos jellyfish used to imprison all the gods. This was the innate talent of the primal chaos jellyfish. It could not be copied, nor could it be learned. It was a unique power. There was also evil god's authority. This was because the evil god's authority was too terrifying. It contained evil, distortion, darkness, corruption, and other powers. Once one copied the evil god's authority, one's own soul would be corrupted, causing one's divine power to distort and fall. It was like being poisoned. Thus, it wasn't that the feathered serpent god couldn't be replicated. It was just that the evil god was poisonous. Once it was replicated, it would contaminate one's own divine power. The gains wouldn't make up for the losses. It was as if the feathered serpent god had been transformed into an evil god. From a certain perspective, the evil god was like the nemesis of the feathered serpent god. 2K Reading Net. Chapter 2877. Evil Eye Doppelganger? In fact, what surprised Xia Ping the most was the last doppelganger, the Evil Eye Doppelganger. This was a dominating evil god from the evil god universe. Even among the many evil gods, it was a terrifying god that could rival feathered serpent god. There were 3,000 evil eyes on its body. Each eye seemed to represent a chaotic evil god world, containing terrifying, twisted, evil, and dark powers. As long as one was targeted by one eye, one would definitely die even if one hid at the ends of the earth. The 3,000 evil eyes simultaneously erupted with power that was enough to distort the universe, shatter chaotic space-time, and produce extremely terrifying power. Moreover, even a god like Feathered Serpent God, who had the authority of replication, could not replicate such power. This was because such power was too evil, chaotic, and twisted. Once the replication was successful, Feathered Serpent God would be eroded by this power and completely degenerate into a mindless lunatic. This was no different from death. Xia Ping could feel the extreme evil of this evil eye doppelganger. Even the power of the abyss could not compare to it. Even the yellow springs of hell could not purify it. Even a black hole was not as black as it. It was as if this was an extremely evil existence, a combination of all twisted darkness and filth. To be honest, if he did not have the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell and the support of the system, which could resist the erosion of this evil power, he would not have been able to maintain his sanity. This power was a terrifying power that could even distort the evil gods themselves. It was an existence that even the evil gods were extremely afraid of. It seems that this doppelganger can't be used casually unless I advance to the god realm. Otherwise, the more I use it, the faster my soul will be eroded. Xia Ping could sense the danger of this doppelganger. It was simply extraordinary. It was like a double-edged sword that could not only hurt the enemy, but also himself. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he would not use this evil eye doppelganger easily. These are memories? At this moment, Xia Ping sensed that endless memories from these doppelgangers surged into the depths of his sea of consciousness like a tide. Rumble. Suddenly, he sensed that there were many more memories in the depths of his sea of consciousness. They were memories from the bloodlines of the Chaos Jellyfish, Feathered Serpent God, and Evil Eye. These memories were nothing else but memories about the cultivation of the gods. At this moment, Xia Ping finally understood what it meant to be a god, as well as the hierarchy of gods. In fact, the division of gods was very simple. They were lesser god, intermediate god, superior god, dominator, and creator god. There were only 5 levels. However, even though it was only 5 levels, the difference in power between each level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Basically, it was impossible to challenge someone of a higher level. Surpassing a single level meant surpassing everything, giving one an overwhelming advantage. As for becoming a lesser god, it was very simple. All one had to do was comprehend a Grand Tao law, condense that Grand Tao law into authority, condense it into godhood, and grasp god power. The so-called authority was the embodiment of power after a god grasped the great Tao laws. The more great Tao laws a deity grasped, the more powerful their power would be, and the more powerful their authority would be. The effects of their authority would also be more complicated and incredible. For example, a pinnacle authority like the true demon god was a power condensed from countless great Tao laws. It required one to comprehend the great Tao of reality, great Tao of illusion, great Tao of karma, great Tao of life and death, great Tao of samsara, great Tao of the 5 elements, and many other great Tao laws. There was also the authority of the god of war, which required comprehension of the slaughter great Tao, the death great Tao, the darkness great Tao, the chaos great Tao, the destruction great Tao, the vibration great Tao, and countless other great Tao laws. Of course, these were the authority of the top gods. If it was the authority of some weak gods, there was no need to comprehend so many great Tao laws. Just comprehending one great Tao law was enough. However, the power of this authority would be very weak. For example, some gods had the authority of slaughter. Weak gods had the authority of slaughter, but they only grasped one great Tao law, such as the destruction great Tao. However, powerful gods had the authority of slaughter, but they grasped the resonance great Tao, the plunder great Tao, the devour great Tao, the time great Tao, the space great Tao, and so on. The result was obvious. Even if they had the same authority, a weak god would not be a match for a powerful god. Therefore, from this point one could see the division of the gods. Lesser gods were gods who grasped at least one great Tao law. Intermediate gods were gods who grasped at least 10 great Tao laws. Superior gods were gods who grasped at least 100 great Tao laws. Sovereign gods were gods who grasped at least 1,000 great Tao laws. As for creation gods, they were gods who grasped 3,000 great Tao laws. At this level, they could completely refine the entire universe and integrate it into their bodies. If a creation god appeared in a universe, they could reverse the situation of the universe entering reincarnation, and the collapse of the universe era would no longer occur. The problem was that it was too difficult to become a creation god. Even the fiend god universe, feathered serpent god's universe, and even the hell world had never produced a creation god. After all, to become a creation god, one had to grasp 3,000 great Tao laws. Even if one was missing, one could not advance. This represented perfection. Countless sovereign gods had never been able to reach perfection. They had always been stuck at the last step. Some universes that had lived through their 3rd, 4th, and 5th lives had given birth to many sovereign gods, but they had never been able to produce a creation god. This was the bottleneck of countless god universes. Even a powerful sovereign god like feathered serpent god, who had lived for countless eras, could not take this step. Without the birth of a creation god, they could not reverse the fate of the universe's collapse. Countless powerful gods would fall in the process of the collapse of the era. A creation god? Xia Ping's eyes lit up. This realm was probably the supreme realm that all gods dreamed of. Even sovereign gods like Hell's golden crow and Hell's divine elephant had not reached the creation god realm. If they had really reached this realm, then it would be impossible for them to die. This was truly the realm of immortality and indestructibility. Moreover, according to feathered serpent god's memories, cultivation at the demigod level was extremely important, because it was relatively easier to comprehend the great Tao laws in this realm. Once one entered the god realm, it became extremely difficult to comprehend the great Tao laws. It was said that talented geniuses could even condense 10 great Tao laws and directly advance from the demigod level to the middle god level. Even some monstrous geniuses, such as the ancient monstrous feathered serpent god, could directly condense 100 great Tao laws and advance to the superior god level. Then, feathered serpent god advanced triumphantly and finally advanced to the sovereign level. Therefore, cultivation at the demigod level was extremely important. The more profound the accumulation, the easier the later cultivation would be. Chapter 2878. Superior God? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He hadn't expected to ascend to the superior god realm while breaking through to the demigod realm. It was like ascending to the heavens in a single bound. If he could comprehend 1,000 great path laws while in the demigod realm, wouldn't he be able to ascend to the sovereign realm? He sensed the memories left behind by the feathered serpent god and realized that it was impossible. Putting aside the question of whether there were any top geniuses in the world who could comprehend 1,000 great path laws while in the demigod realm, even if there were such geniuses, they wouldn't be able to ascend to the sovereign realm. That was because the amount of origin energy needed to ascend from the demigod realm to the sovereign realm was boundless. Even devouring half of the origin energy of the universe might not be enough. In other words, even if one had such aptitude, it was impossible to have enough resources and energy. Without enough origin energy, one would collapse during the breakthrough process and die. It could be said that ascending to the superior god realm was basically the limit. Since ancient times, no life form had been able to ascend from the demigod realm to the sovereign realm directly because of the limitations of the universe. Moreover, becoming a superior god was already powerful enough. Among the gods, the majority were lower gods. Middle gods were considered elites, while upper gods were like marquises who controlled countless gods under them. As for the number of sovereign gods, even in a universe, they could be counted on one hand. Therefore, becoming a superior god was basically like ascending to the heavens in a single bound. Oh, I'm about to break through? At that moment, Xia Ping's heart skipped a beat. He sensed that his powers and nomological laws had reached the perfection realm. Countless memories of the evil god's cultivation flowed into the depths of his consciousness. In an instant, he came into contact with the power of the life and death law. The power of life and death appeared in the depths of his consciousness and formed a perfect balance. It was as if he had grasped the power of the life and death law. The infernal golden crow bloodline power in his body contained massive power of death and power of life. It could be said that he was born with the talent to control the power of life and death. Now that his cultivation had reached the perfection immemorial realm and he had comprehended the life and death law, it was like a matter of course. It was as if he had naturally grasped the power of life and death in his body. He wasn't excited at all, as if it was a matter of course. Life and death laws. Xia Ping sat cross-legged on the ground. 2 black and white nomological runes immediately appeared in the depths of his sea of consciousness. The black nomological rune represented the law of death, while the white nomological rune represented the law of life. When the laws of life and death condensed together, he seemed to have grasped the power of life and death. He could reverse life and death and transform life and death. It was as if he could see into the depths of the river of fate and see the souls of countless dead beings. As long as he wanted to, he could pull the dead out of the river of fate and bring them back to life. However, doing so would result in a backlash from the origin source laws of the universe, which would heavily injure his soul. Crash, the law of life and death runes gathered together, seeming to form a black and white 8 trigrams millstone. They intertwined with each other, forming a samsara. This was the samsara between life and death. Once this life and death reincarnation power was activated, it would be able to block all attacks in the world. It would absorb the power of the enemy's attack and transform it into one's own power. This was the profound mystery of the transformation between life and death. As long as the balance of life and death was not broken, he would be invincible. Rumble. At this moment, the laws of life and death in the depths of his consciousness finally condensed successfully. Xia Ping's 9 great consciousness seas, which were also the 9 great worlds, were in an extremely complete state. They gave birth to mountains, rivers, deserts, continents, seasons, and so on. It was as if they were real worlds. However, even so, there were still no signs of life in such worlds. There was no aura of life, and no life was born in these 9 worlds. However, after comprehending the laws of life and death, the laws of life and death instantly integrated into the 9 great worlds. It seemed as if the 9 great worlds gave birth to the power of life and death. With birth, aging, sickness, and death, life and souls were born. In the depths of the 9 great worlds, in the depths of the deserts, forests, seas, and rivers, countless tiny life forms were born. Although they were just microorganisms and not complete life forms, it was already a start. As time passed, unique life forms would be born in the 9 great worlds. I'm still lacking some origin source energy. Xia Ping sensed that when he advanced from the archaic realm to the invincible realm, he not only needed to comprehend the laws of life and death, but also needed a huge amount of origin source energy at the moment of condensing the laws of life and death. An ordinary perfected archaic saint needed to prepare for hundreds of millions of eras to prepare enough energy to advance from the archaic realm to the invincible realm. However, Xia Ping had the 9 great consciousness seas, and he condensed the 9 great worlds. He even had 9 doppelgangers that needed to advance to the invincible realm at the same time. One could imagine how much origin source energy he needed to advance from the archaic realm to the invincible realm. Even if an archaic saint accumulated countless eras, it would be impossible for him to succeed. However, Xia Ping came to the Crazy Mountain Range. The hell golden crow flame on his body was burning wildly. In this place, every second that the evil god's flesh and blood burned could produce a huge amount of origin source energy. Therefore, he didn't need to prepare at all. As long as he stayed in this place, there would be a continuous flow of origin source energy to help him advance to the invincible realm. It could be said that this place was simply the best place for Xia Ping to cultivate. Rumble, in an instant, Xia Ping felt a huge amount of origin source energy gushing into his body. Like a flood, it crazily poured into his 9 great worlds, and even the deepest parts of his 9 doppelgangers. Only a place like the Crazy Mountain Range, where the evil god had fallen, could provide him with such a huge amount of origin source energy. Dong dong dong. At this moment, Xia Ping received enough origin source energy. He felt that his cultivation had reached completion, and he suddenly broke through to the demigod realm. I've advanced. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He was extremely excited. After spending so much time, he finally advanced from the archaic realm to the demigod realm and completely comprehended the laws of life and death. Even the 9 doppelgangers on his body broke through and advanced at almost the same time. They reached the demigod realm, and their strength was incomparably strong. It was as if there were 10 demigods standing in this place. Their auras resonated with each other, and they produced a terrifying power of the world domain, covering a radius of hundreds of millions of light years. Chapter 2879. While Xia Ping was cultivating in seclusion, Tan Menglu, Chong Shaoqian, Little Dumbo, Xiao Jin, and a few Gaia Lolas were working hard to dig a space-time passageway that led to Hell World. Tan Menglu and Chong Shaoqian had cultivated arduously for several hundred years, and with the help of the time fruit, space fruit, fortune fruit, and other rare fruits, they had reached the ancient sage realm. On the other hand, Dumbo Gaia had advanced to the primordial saint realm and was many times stronger than before. The Gaia Lolas had also advanced to the ancient sage realm. Their strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Gaga, dig 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 for me. Chong Shaoqian directed her black hole bug race's grand elders and elite subordinates to excavate a hidden space-time tunnel in the chaotic void. Normally, it would be difficult for ordinary sages to dig such a space-time tunnel. However, the black hole Zerg race was one of the most talented races in the universe. They were born to dig wormholes. Even in the primal chaos void, they were like fish in water. Of course, Due to the obstruction of the chaotic airflow, it was extremely difficult for them to dig. Thankfully, Tan Minglu was by his side to assist him. Tao Tai was extremely talented. Although she did not know how to dig wormholes or how to maintain the stability of wormholes, she could devour all chaos flows. Tan Minglu ate all the materials and energy that were difficult to chew in the chaotic void. The chaotic energy also satisfied her growing appetite. Then Little Gold, Little Dumbo, and a few Gaia Lolas would also assist from the side. If there was any chaos disaster nearby, they would block it or warn them so that they would not be devoured by the chaos disaster. It's connected, it's finally connected. Right at this moment, Chong Xiaoqian cried out in excitement. Boom! At this moment, under the combined efforts of the many black hole worms and Chong Xiaoqian, a long space-time tunnel that looked like a worm wriggled over. This space-time tunnel connected the evil god universe to the underworld. It was extremely vast and majestic. A few hundred years. After spending a few hundred years, I've finally passed through the infernal world. I can finally go home and surf the internet. Tan Minglu cried bitterly. Looking at the space-time tunnel that had finally been opened, she was filled with emotions. To be honest, she had never worked so hard in her life, but it was all worth it for the sake of going home and surfing the internet. Of course, she didn't care about improving her cultivation at all. She couldn't stand a second without the internet, so she put in all her effort and potential. Kaka, I really am the strongest king of the black hole insect race. I actually dug out a space-time passageway that connects to the universe. If not me, then who else can do it? Chong Xiaoqian placed her hands on her hips and cackled with a smug look. Even the black hole kingworms had never been able to do such a thing. At most, they had excavated a space-time tunnel within the universe. They had never excavated a tunnel between universes. It would not be strange to say that this was something that had never happened before. We did it. Our black hole bug race actually did it. Many of the black hole worm elders were excited. No one understood the significance of this matter better than they did. They had actually excavated a space-time tunnel that connected two universes. This was an inconceivable matter. It was simply a miracle. In fact, when they first came to the primal chaos void, they thought that this was impossible. They were still too weak to excavate a space-time tunnel in the primal chaos void. They would be destroyed by the primal chaos airflow at any moment. However, Chong Xiaoqian displayed an extraordinary innate ability. Not only could she easily excavate a space-time tunnel in the primal chaos void, but she could also stabilize the space-time tunnel and solidify it for eternity. This could only be said to be the black hole bug king's unique innate ability. It far surpassed ordinary black hole worms. No, it should be said that it far surpassed the previous black hole bug kings. They had never heard of such a talent and power. Although the current black hole bug king was a little unreliable, playing games all day and not putting in any effort to cultivate, it was still the strongest black hole bug king in history. This isn't a shoddy construction, right? Xiao Jin curiously patted the space-time barrier of the space-time tunnel. What shoddy construction? Do you know how to speak? If our black hole bug race dares to claim to be the best at digging space-time tunnels, no one dares to claim to be second. There has never been a space-time collapse. Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian immediately exploded in anger. Not only is this space-time tunnel stable, but it is also hidden. Even if those evil gods come nearby, it is impossible for them to discover that there is a space-time tunnel nearby. She said that she used the black hole bug's innate ability to merge this space-time tunnel and the surrounding primal chaos rifts into one, completely concealing their presence. This way, not only could the entire space-time tunnel be stabilized, but it would also not be discovered by other evil gods. This tunnel is indeed stable. Dumbo sensed for a while and also agreed with Chong Xiaoqian's words. This space-time tunnel would not collapse so easily. They actually did it? Azure Ox and Corinne were also speechless when they saw this scene. They completely did not expect these little Lolas to really do such an unprecedented thing. It was really unimaginable. To be honest, they were not optimistic about these little fellows at the beginning. They felt that this matter was too difficult. Even gods had to expend a lot of effort to open such a space-time tunnel. As for saint-level powerhouses, there was no need to even mention it. But these little fellows actually did it. Could it be that the charm of going online was really so great? Let's hurry back. A few days have passed in the modern universe. It seems that there is some kind of anniversary gift pack. If we are late, there will be no reward. Tan Minglu's memory was amazing. Even such a small matter was still fresh in her memory. What? Anniversary gift pack? Is it a free gift where we can get equipment for free? This is bad, we definitely can't miss it. Chong Xiaoqian immediately shouted loudly. She was so poor now that she did not have any money to spend. She wanted anything that did not cost money. Then what are we waiting for? If we miss this village, there will be no such shop. The few Gaia Lolas could not wait to go back. The barrier of the infernal world has been broken through. Look, this seems to be near the burning hell. We are rich, there is no need to take a detour anymore. Tan Minglu hurriedly walked out of the space-time tunnel. She immediately discovered that the end of this new space-time tunnel seemed to be connected to the infernal void near the burning hell. This saved her a lot of time to go back to the burning hell. There is a signal here. Chong Xiaoqian shouted. Damn it, I have not been online for hundreds of years. I almost forgot to log in. Tan Minglu's eyes were filled with tears. At this moment she was actually a little touched. It was as if she had finally seen the light of day after being imprisoned for hundreds of years. Seeing this scene, Azure Ox and Corinne's mouth twitched. Chapter 2880. Fiend God Universe. In the blink of an eye, 3,000 years had passed. Although it was only 300 days in the modern universe, 3,000 years had passed in the Fiend God Universe. At this moment, in the crazy mountain range, this famous mountain range in the fallen godland had been burned by the infernal golden crow flames for 3,000 years. It was constantly burning, and everywhere it went, everything turned into white land. Many of the fiend god's dependents were terrified when they passed by this place and couldn't help but avoid it. There was once a fiend god's dependents who wanted to enter and find out what was going on inside. However, the moment they entered, they were burned to ashes and died without a complete corpse. Even if they came into contact with a bit of the flames, the fiend god's dependents would die on the spot. Many of the fiend god's dependents thought that the flames were cursed, and once they touched it, they would definitely die. Over time, this place had become a famous forbidden area for life. At this moment, in a cave, Xia Ping, who had been in seclusion for 3,000 years, finally opened his eyes and woke up from his state of seclusion. It can't be. 3,000 years have passed in seclusion? Xia Ping blinked. He sensed the flowing space-time laws around him and immediately knew that 3,000 years had passed in the space around him. He was extremely emotional. One must know that he had only cultivated to the immemorial ancient realm for a few hundred years. However, a short seclusion had passed for 3,000 years. For mortals, 3,000 years was like the blue sea turning into mulberry fields. But to sages, it was just a flick of a finger. Although Xia Ping didn't feel anything in the past, that was because his cultivation speed was fast. However, the time he spent in seclusion would become longer and longer. Tens of thousands of years might pass in a single seclusion. Early demigod realm. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a glimmer of light as he sensed the vast magic power surging within his body. After 3,000 years of closed-door cultivation, he had completely consolidated his skyrocketing cultivation base. He had integrated all the power and made it his own. At the same time, his 9 clones had also broken through to the early demigod realm. His strength had increased by many folds. The power of the consciousness is too strong. He could feel that his soul energy had increased by many folds. Previously, his divine sense had a range of 80 million light years. However, after advancing to the early stage of the demigod realm, it had expanded to a diameter of 1 billion light years. This kind of soul power simply surpassed all demigod-level powerhouses. It was simply unprecedented. Thanks to the growth of his soul energy, his illusory abilities had also improved tremendously. he had already reached the supreme realm of one thought birth. No, not only could it generate 10,000 worlds, but it could also generate 100,000 illusory worlds. In the blink of an eye, he could generate 100,000 illusory worlds and drag his enemies into them, unable to extricate themselves. Moreover, this was not the limit of his illusion ability. It seemed that as his spiritual energy improved, it could continue to grow. At that time, he might be able to generate millions of illusion worlds, layer upon layer, forming an illusion maze world. At this level, even a lower god would be affected by this power, let alone a demigod. 10,000 worlds with one thought. In an instant, Xiaoping moved his mind, and 100,000 illusory worlds appeared in the void, stacking on top of each other. When the illusory worlds were stacked to a certain extent, the quantitative change seemed to have led to a qualitative change. It seemed to have reached the level where illusory arts could corrode the physical world. It seemed like the power of the law of illusion could easily twist the laws of the physical world. This was the interference of the mind with the world and the laws, resulting in an unbelievable change. Vaguely, he seemed to have touched the barrier between reality and illusion. When illusory arts reached the extreme, it would become reality. The Golden Crow of Hell bloodline has also improved. Xiaoping realized that after advancing to the early stage of the demigod realm, he had also burned a large number of corpses of evil gods and obtained abundant origin energy. This also caused the Golden Crow of Hell cells in his body to awaken crazily. Previously, he had awakened 10 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells. Now, he had awakened 30 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells. The density of his bloodline was simply terrifying. Therefore, the power of the Golden Crow of Hell flames on his body had also increased by several times. One should know that there were about 100 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells in his body. Now that he had awakened 30 trillion, it was equivalent to awakening 30% of the Golden Crow of Hell bloodline. This was a terrifying number. The strength of the flames has increased. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He realized that after awakening 30 trillion Golden Crow of Hell cells, the strength of the Golden Crow of Hell flames had a qualitative increase. If it was a normal flame before, then it was a god flame now. It contained threads of undying god matter. It was as if a flame surged out from him. It was an eternal flame that gave off the will of a supreme god. Maybe the Golden Crow of Hell flames could even burn evil gods to death. This is the life and death laws? But Xiaoping felt that the biggest gain was that he had comprehended the life and death laws. He felt that the power of the laws had merged into his body and turned into his bloodline. The life and death laws merged into each cell in his body. It was as if each cell contained life and death runes. Just like that, if an enemy attacked and hit Xiaoping's body, his cells would instantly swallow the enemy's attack and turn it into his own energy. One could say that with this power, he was invincible. Even if he fought for billions of years, the power in his body wouldn't weaken and he would still be full of energy. Life and death domain. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He sensed that there seemed to be black and white life and death currents flowing in the depths of his sea of consciousness. They emitted a mysterious aura and seemed to form a black and white life and death roulette. At that moment, the life and death laws merged into the 9 worlds in his body. It caused the 9 worlds in the depths of his sea of consciousness to go through a tremendous change. It was as if the 9 worlds had given birth to many special life forms. All kinds of marine life forms were born in the ocean. There were flying fish, sea turtles, whales, octopuses, and so on. In the forest, flying insects, beasts, and even elemental spirits were born. In the desert, scorpions, camels, or earth spirits were born. All sorts of strange and unbelievable life forms were born in the 9 worlds. Due to the birth of these life forms, they also produced the wish power of all living beings. This wish power made the power of the 9 great worlds even stronger and firmer. It was as if the 9 worlds had given birth to the cycle of life and death and the power of the 6 paths. They had formed complete worlds. 2K Reading Network. Chapter 2881. has the space-time tunnel been opened? Xia Ping's heart stirred. He immediately sensed the message from Green Ox and Corinne. While he was in seclusion, Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Menglu, and the others had already opened the space-time tunnel between the Fiend God universe and the modern universe. He did not expect them to do this so quickly. He could only say that this group of internet-addicted girls was too powerful. They would really do anything for the sake of going online. But this was also good. Even if he destroyed the space-time tunnel created by the Fiend God, he would still have a way to reach the Fiend God universe. Right, I wonder how those dependents are doing now. Xia Ping immediately immersed his mind. He sensed that a dark golden ball of light had appeared in the depths of his sea of consciousness. This dark golden ball of light could connect with countless golden crow dependents of hell and sense their existence. At the same time, he took out the Book of Karma. This book recorded the names of countless golden crow dependents of hell, as well as everything that had happened to them during this period. This was the power of the Book of Karma. Once a person's name was recorded, he could check their past and present lives. Nothing could be hidden from the Book of Karma. No way? They've developed so much. Xia Ping opened the Book of Karma. He immediately saw densely packed names on the book. These were the dependents of the Golden Crow of Hell that had been added in the past 3,000 years. Compared to before he went into seclusion, the number of Golden Crow dependents of Hell had increased by more than 1 billion times. It seemed that the entire Fiend God universe and countless worlds had given birth to the dependents of the Golden Crow of Hell, which was also known as Furnace Wizards. Although 3,000 years was nothing more than a nap for the gods, it was already a long time for the mortals. They had experienced countless reincarnations and died countless times. Of course, the rapid increase in the number of Furnace Wizards was due to the characteristics of Furnace Wizards. First of all, it had no aptitude requirements. As long as one believed in the Furnace Lord and obtained the bloodline of the Furnace Lord, one could become a Furnace Wizard and control the Golden Crow of Hell. Of course, although there was no aptitude requirement, humans with aptitude were naturally more powerful than those without. However, due to the characteristics of the low threshold, countless humans had become Furnace Wizards. It seemed to have become one of the main occupations of many humans. After all, the requirements of other occupations were too high. It didn't require special aptitude, a powerful soul, or an indomitable will. Secondly, the Furnace Wizards were powerful enough. Their bodies contained the flames of the infernal Golden Crow, which could burn almost all evil creatures. Countless evil creatures were sacrificed. It could be said that Furnace Wizards were born with the characteristics of challenging those above them. Even evil creatures that were more powerful than them would be burned to death if they were hit by the Golden Crow hellfire, let alone evil spirits, ghosts, and other creatures. They were the natural nemesis of the Golden Crow hellfire. Lastly, the training of the Furnace Wizard had almost no side effects. For other humans, the stronger wizards had more or less cultivation. The higher levels of Furnace Wizards were God. The higher levels were higher than the Furnace Wizards. It could be said that the strongest human experts could only live for 1,000 years at most before dying, unless the other party was willing to give up their human identity and continue living as a monster. Truthfully, this was the choice that countless human experts didn't want to make after they died. They chose to turn into monsters and become the followers of evil gods. They became monsters that were above humans. Moreover, as time passed, they would also forget their identity as humans. Therefore, when the cultivation method of the Furnace Wizard appeared, almost all of the human powerhouses were excited. There were no side effects of cultivation, and one would not degenerate into a monster. Moreover, one could have a long lifespan. Who could endure such benefits? Because of this, many humans turned to Furnace Wizards. This caused the number of Furnace Wizards to increase explosively. It became one of the main occupations of humans. No wonder I have so much origin energy on me. It's all thanks to the Furnace Wizard. At this moment, Xia Ping also sensed that there was a tremendous amount of origin energy in the depths of his sea of consciousness. It seemed to have condensed into huge light balls that contained abundant energy. It was extremely frightening. Even the origin energy he got from burning the crazy mountain range for 3,000 years couldn't compare. But this was to be expected. The origin energy from the furnace wizards couldn't be compared to the energy from burning the crazy mountain range. Moreover, this was a continuous supply of energy, unlike the crazy mountain range, which was a one-time deal. But these guys are crazy. They're going to sacrifice the evil god. Xia Ping's mouth couldn't help but twitch. He could see the thoughts of these top furnace wizards from the Book of Cause and Effect. They had dominated for thousands of years and killed countless evil god minions. Therefore, these furnace wizards were a little arrogant. They wanted to deal with a sleeping and heavily injured evil god. If they succeeded, they would get great benefits. The problem was that it was an evil god. Even if it only had one grand Dao law, it wasn't something these furnace wizards could compare to. A god was a god. They were many times stronger than demigods. Furthermore, even after 3,000 years of development, the strongest furnace wizard had only reached the undying saint level. He was not much stronger than the evil god's followers. Even if they could challenge those stronger than them, they couldn't fight against those powerful evil gods. I see. There's a reason for this? Xia Ping squinted. He soon realized that these furnace wizards didn't make this decision because they wanted to die. It was because the furnace wizards were in a critical situation. If the furnace wizards were still a weak force, perhaps the evil gods wouldn't care about these weak humans. But after 3,000 years of development, there were many powerful and crazy furnace wizards. This was enough to threaten the evil gods. If these humans were obediently treated as food, the evil gods might not care at all. But these humans actually had the power to threaten the evil gods. That was not good. This was a taboo for any evil god. They wouldn't allow the human race to rise. Because of this, the powerful evil gods saw this and felt that they couldn't let the furnace wizards grow. They decided to sacrifice a large number of sacrifices to awaken the sleeping evil god. Once the evil god awoke, mere human furnace wizards would be like ants. They would be killed in an instant, and it would be impossible for them to continue living. That was why the furnace wizards decided to take the risk and sacrifice the evil god's minions and the evil god together, burning them to ashes. Chapter 2882. The God of Trickery? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. He knew the name of this evil god through the Book of Karma. It was called the God of Trickery. It seemed to be an evil god that was good at using tricks and sowing discord. In fact, it was a lower god. However, because it was good at using tricks, it had caused many wars among evil gods. Hence, this evil god was somewhat famous in the evil god universe. However, it was not a particularly powerful evil god. Apart from using tricks and deceiving other evil gods, it had no other abilities. Hence, its combat power was relatively weak. However, no matter how weak it was still incredibly powerful compared to the gods. It was definitely not something that mortals could compare to. But this is also an opportunity. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. To be honest, although he had learned about the classification of God's strength from Quetzalcoatl's memory, he had no idea how powerful those gods were. Obviously, this was an opportunity to get in touch with the evil god's power. Moreover, the opponent was only a lower god and was seriously injured. No matter how he looked at it, it was more suitable to test out an evil god. Even if he could not defeat it, he could still escape. Once he knew how powerful the gods were, he would have an idea of what to do. Thinking of this, he could not sit still. According to Furnace Wizard's deduction, the god of trickery might be awakened in a few days. Xia Ping stood up and walked out of the crazy mountain range. There was no need for him to stay in this place. There were not many benefits to be gained anyway. What's going on? However, as soon as he left the crazy mountain range, he immediately noticed that there were dozens of demigod monsters nearby. They seemed to be wandering around this place. He did not expect to encounter so many demigod monsters as soon as he left the crazy mountain range. However, this was also a very normal thing. After all, this was the fallen godland. If the evil gods had awakened, they would have been everywhere in this place. When the evil gods were in hibernation, the demigod monsters had treated this place as a treasure hunting ground. The crazy mountain range had been burning for 3,000 years. Such a strange thing naturally attracted the attention of countless demigod monsters. Even if some of them were afraid and did not dare to enter casually, there were also some who were very bold and thought that they were strong enough to go in and explore. Hence, there were always some demigod monsters wandering around the crazy mountain range. When Xia Ping came out, he was immediately discovered by many demigod monsters. What? Humans? There are humans in this crazy mountain range. A demigod monster couldn't believe it. It didn't expect that there would be a human in the depths of the crazy mountain range. After all, who didn't know that even the evil god's minions didn't dare to enter the crazy mountain range? Wouldn't it be suicidal for a human to enter? But this human actually came out of the crazy mountain range and came out alive. This was an incredible thing. It never thought that such a thing would happen. A demigod-level human. This is a demigod-level human. What kind of joke is this? Since when did such a powerful human appear? Strange. There's something very strange about this human. Just how did he cultivate to become so powerful? The pupils of the demigod monsters shrank as they stared at Xia Ping with a strange look on their faces. In the evil god universe, no matter how strong a human was, they could at most cultivate to the immortal sage realm. There were no stronger humans. After all, the entire universe was filled with the power of the evil god. Mere power was unable to withstand the corrosion of the evil god's power. This was the upper limit of the human race's lifespan. But now, there was actually a human who broke through the race's upper limit and reached the demigod level. He could be compared to the minions of the evil god. This was unbelievable. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that such a human could exist. It's said that a profession called the furnace sorcerer has appeared in the various worlds recently. They can control special flames that can easily kill a group of evil attribute creatures. Even the minions of the evil god like us have to retreat. If countless furnace sorcerers attack together, they can form a sea of fire. Even the minions of the evil god wouldn't dare to approach casually. Could this human be a furnace sorcerer? A demigod monster said in a deep voice. And if you think about it carefully, the flames in the crazy mountain range seem to be similar to the flames controlled by the furnace sorcerers. Could it be that these flames were created by this human? A demigod monster narrowed its eyes. If that's the case, it's interesting. He's just a puny human, but he can actually cause such a big trouble in the fallen godland. He must have some earth-shattering secret. Whether there's a secret or not, we can just capture him and torture him. No, it doesn't have to be that difficult. As long as I devour his soul, all his secrets will be revealed. He's just a human, but he has such great power. This is a great crime. It's unforgivable. We definitely can't let this human master power. He's just food. Is he trying to go against his superiors? Many demigod monsters were filled with murderous intent. They surrounded Xia Ping at the same time. Even though they all believed in different evil gods and were in different camps, and they usually killed each other, they still cooperated when facing a race like the human. No matter what, they had to capture this strange human first. They could feel that there must be a big secret on this human. Such a secret could probably threaten the rule of the evil gods. Their eyes were cold and murderous. They didn't even try to hide the murderous intent in the depths of their hearts. Suddenly, waves of extremely powerful territory power shrouded the space and time in all directions. Countless spaces were distorted under the influence of this power. Interesting. Hundreds of demigod monsters? How lucky. Xia Ping smiled. If he hadn't become a demigod, these demigod monsters might have been a little troublesome to deal with. Now, however, these demigod monsters were no match for him. To be honest, he didn't even know how strong he was now. Moreover, these demigod monsters were excellent food. After devouring the corpses of these demigod monsters, he would definitely be able to nurture a large number of life and death fruits. He didn't know how many demigod experts he could create. If he was in the modern universe, he wouldn't have the chance to find so many demigod experts. Only in a top universe like the evil god universe could he find so many demigods. Chapter 2883. Do it, kill him. In an instant, hundreds of demigod monsters attacked almost at the same time. They exploded with terrifying Diablo power, distorting the space-time in all directions. Moreover, the power in their bodies was extremely terrifying. It was different from the demigods in Hell and the real universe. Their Diablo power was extremely corrosive, distorting, and infectious. Once it invaded the enemy's body, it could immediately corrode or even assimilate the enemy. This was the reason why the Diablo universe was successful in invading other universes. Their power was too corrosive to the living beings of other universes. It was simply dark energy that caused countless living beings to fall. Freeze! Xia Ping looked calmly at the group of demigod monsters and only said one word. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying world territory exploded from his body. No, it was no longer as simple as a world territory. It was simply the power of a world crushing down. Moreover, it was not just one world. It was the power of 9 worlds stacked together. It was not as simple as 1 + 1. The power of such a world was increasing at a geometrical speed. Therefore, the impact was also terrifying. When such a world territory crushed down, the space-time within a radius of 1 billion light-years came to a standstill. All space-time stopped flowing. What? The eyes of the demigod monsters widened. At this moment, they could only think. They could not use their bodies or the power in them at all. At this moment, they were completely controlled and could not move. Impossible! He is just a human. How can he be so powerful? The group of demigod monsters was filled with endless fear. They had never been so afraid in their lives. If the other party was in Diablo, it would be fine. However, this guy was just a weak human. He was just food. A mere food could make them freeze in an instant. They could not fight back at all. What kind of joke was this? They would not admit such a thing. However, regardless of whether they admitted it or not, Xia Ping had overwhelming power. These demigod monsters could not even use a bit of power. Ants. Xia Ping looked at the demigod monsters calmly. He stretched out his hand and grabbed lightly. Don't. In an instant, the bodies and souls of the hundreds of demigod-level monsters were crushed. It was as if their bodies had been forcefully crushed by a powerful nomological force. Such a way of dying was extremely tragic. In an instant, the ground was covered in the minced meat of the demigod monster, and the ground was covered in blood. Crash! With a wave of his hand, the demigod-level monster's flesh and blood were taken away and sent to the world tree for it to absorb. Immediately, a large number of fruits of life and death were quickly nurtured. This method was like plundering the source of the fiend god universe and pouring it into the real universe. Even if these demigod monsters did not have much origin as long as they persisted, the evil god universe's origin would be greatly depleted, accelerating the evil god universe's collapse. There are demigod-level monsters? Xia Ping had planned to leave the fallen godland as soon as possible. However, the shockwaves from the battle earlier had attracted the attention of other demigod-level monsters. Many of them were flying in his direction. Human? There's actually a demigod human here? What's going on? There was clearly an intense battle here just now. Why did it suddenly disappear? That's right. There should be many evil god minions fighting here. Where did they go? This human is the only survivor here. Let's capture him and ask him about the situation. He's just a human. How dare he enter the fallen god land? This guy is weird. Devour his soul and find out his secrets. Many demigod-level monsters surrounded him with murderous intent. This time, there were more demigod-level monsters. There were 1,000 of them, which was 10 times more than before. They were obviously stronger. At this moment, this place was filled with demons and evil energy. All of you that. Xia Ping looked at the group of demigod-level monsters calmly without any fear. At his level, numbers were no longer a threat to him. Illusion, myriad worlds with a single thought. Rumble, in an instant, With his body as the center, strange and powerful illusionary shockwaves were generated. They instantly enveloped the bodies of thousands of demigod-level monsters. Such a silent soul shockwave invaded the deepest part of their souls, causing them to fall into 100,000 illusory worlds. Even though they were demigod-level monsters, they could not resist the stacking of 100,000 illusory worlds. They were dumbfounded and could not move at all. As expected, the power of illusions is too strong. Xia Ping was amazed. He realized that his illusionary power had grown to such a level that even demigod-level monsters could not resist the erosion of such illusory power. He could be considered a true grandmaster of illusions. Even in the modern universe, there was probably no living being that could compare to him in illusions. With just the power of illusions, he could easily control demigod-level life forms. As long as he was willing, he could easily change the memory of a demigod-level monster and make it think that he was a dog. Then, the monster would always think that he was a dog and live like a dog. One should know what it meant to stack 100,000 illusory worlds. It was the memory of 100,000 worlds. Such a huge amount of memories could definitely destroy a demigod-level monster's soul if they attacked the sea of consciousness. A life's memory was very limited. If countless memories appeared in the depths of one sea of consciousness, one would be lost and would not know who one was. It was like the memories of 100,000 lives. 100,000 memories. Each memory was incomparably real. How could one distinguish which memory was the real one? If one could not tell, even a demigod-level monster would break down and become a complete lunatic. It was as if they had multiple personalities. That was how terrifying the power of illusions was. Xia Ping grabbed the 1,000 demigod-level monsters and threw them in front of the world tree. The world tree devoured the flesh and essence of the 1,000 demigod-level monsters. No matter how picky the world tree was, it was still a luxurious meal to be able to devour 1,000 demigod-level monsters. The world tree seemed to be excited. Not long after, the world tree nurtured 1,000 fruits of life and death. I've struck it rich. Xia Ping was very excited. He walked out of the fallen godland. He would capture and kill all the demigod-level monsters he encountered and refine them into fruits of life and death. For a moment, the periphery of the fallen godland was in a state of panic. Many demigod-level monsters had fallen. Chapter 2884. At that moment, Xia Ping came out of the fallen godland. Along the way, countless demigod-level monsters came to attack him. In the end, he killed 3,000 demigod-level monsters. Now, no demigod-level monsters dared to provoke him, so he left the fallen godland with ease. In an instant he used the space-time wings, and a pair of transparent wings appeared on his back. They contained powerful space-time powers, and as they flapped, countless space-time turned into ripples. He seemed to have merged with the space-time of the universe, becoming one with it. His speed was unbelievably fast. It was as if the flow of time in his body was at a standstill, and all the void power was liquefied like seawater, producing a powerful driving force. Even the space-time powers enveloped his entire body, causing his aura to completely disappear. It was as if he was in a different dimension, and no existence could find any trace of him. In the time of a few breaths, he passed through dozens of worlds, and none of the evil god spawns could discover that he had passed through their world. This was the power of the space-time wings. Not only could it control space-time powers, but it could also erase his aura and even his sense of existence. No power could capture his body. The god of trickery should be in this great world. In just half a day, Xia Ping arrived at the world where the god of trickery was. He could sense that this world was bigger than the nearby worlds, and it contained rich origin energy. It seemed to be tainted with the strong aura of the evil god. Of course, there were more furnace wizards in this world, and they seemed to be scattered all over the world. In his senses, countless light spots covered every corner of the world, burning with scorching flames. Without hesitation, he used the space-time wings and instantly entered this great world. Ripples appeared on the world barrier, and no existence could discover that he had passed through the world barrier. Evil God Universe, Leon Great World, a temple. At that moment, a large number of evil god spawns appeared in front of an altar in this temple. They were all kinds of strange-looking monsters, and their bodies emanated terrifying evil god power and dark force. It seemed that wherever they appeared, the surrounding laws would be distorted, and they would erode everything, causing countless creatures to fall. An old man with a scepter in his hand and a crown on his head stood at the very front like a priest. It seemed to indicate that the archbishop of this temple had supreme power. These monsters were all followers of the god of trickery. They were also the guardians and elders of this sect. All of them held high positions of power. "Are the sacrifices and rituals ready?" the archbishop asked. An elder stepped forward and said respectfully, "Archbishop, everything is ready. In a few minutes, we can begin the ritual to summon the gods." "Archbishop, isn't this a little inappropriate? Our Lord God is currently in a deep slumber. He instructed us not to wake him up unless there's something important." An elder said hesitantly, "What's important? This is the most important thing right now. Those damned furnace wizards. I don't know where these rats came from, but they've already turned the world's order upside down." The archbishop roared, "They have the power to kill us evil god spawns and weaken the power of fear. They even tried to kill us all. They want to rule this world, but we can't do anything about them. Isn't this the most important thing right now?" He gripped his scepter tightly and was furious. In fact, when the furnace wizards first appeared, they didn't care about them at all. They were just mere humans. Their weak bodies couldn't even withstand a bit of the evil god's power. Even if they had great power in a short period of time, they would soon be eroded by the evil god's power and degenerate into monsters. Their souls would collapse and they would die. The so-called humans were just short-lived creatures that weren't worth mentioning. They would never be a match for the evil god spawns. They would always be superior beings. However, they didn't expect the furnace wizards to be so terrifying. The destructive power of the flames they controlled was too great. Even a touch of it would burn them to ashes. Even if they were more terrifying than the furnace wizards, they would still be burned to death if they were careless. As the evil god spawns, they could easily erode these weak beings. Even a bit of evil god's power was enough to make these weak humans go crazy. But the situation was the opposite. Instead, these humans had special powers. Just a bit of flame would be enough to heavily injure them. This kind of power posed a great threat to their existence. What scared them the most was that even if they killed the furnace wizards, they could still self-destruct. The terrifying power of the flames would turn the area within a few hundred kilometers into a sea of flames. All the evil creatures would be burned to ashes, leaving nothing behind. In this period of time, who knew how many evil god spawns and evil beings would die to this power? These flames wouldn't be extinguished. They seemed to absorb the energy of the universe and would forever burn. However, these flames wouldn't harm the furnace wizards. This made the furnace wizards even more arrogant. They were even willing to perish together with their enemies, using the flames of their death to protect the other side. Indeed, these furnace wizards are too terrifying. They grow too fast. In just a few thousand years, they have covered the entire world. There are furnace wizards' fire seeds everywhere. One of the elders gnashed his teeth. Wherever they appear, there will be an inextinguishable flame. Any evil creatures that approach will be burned to ashes. Now, our children can't eat humans anymore. They are all skin and bones. If this continues, our children will all starve to death. When the fire seeds on their bodies spread throughout the world, I'm afraid there won't be a place for us in the entire world. That's right. I don't know where these furnace wizards get their power from. They don't have any requirements. Any human can become a furnace wizard and control such terrifying power. They even eat us evil god followers and burn our flesh to obtain power. These bastards treat us evil god followers as food. They want to turn the world upside down. An elder hollered in rage. Originally, they treated the insignificant humans as food, consuming their fear and flesh as food. They were like crops, harvesting them every once in a while. But now, the situation was the opposite. Instead, the humans were the ones hunting down evil god minions. What kind of joke was that? Sogu website. Chapter 2885. Hearing this, many elders couldn't help but clench their fists, fear appearing in the depths of their eyes. They also remembered what had happened before. At first, they thought that these furnace wizards were extremely weak and couldn't withstand a single blow. Who would have thought that these furnace wizards were all crazy and didn't fear death? These furnace wizards also knew that they weren't a match for these powerful evil gods, so they used themselves as bombs and rushed up to self-destruct, producing terrifying firepower. Although the fire of one furnace wizard wasn't much, tens, or even hundreds of thousands of furnace wizards self-destructing at the same time would produce a destructive firepower. Previously, tens of temple elders had been careless and were blown to death by tens of thousands of furnace wizards self-destructing. Moreover, after these furnace wizards died, they produced terrifying infernal golden crow flames that turned the surrounding area into a sea of fire. All the evil creatures nearby were burned to death and turned into ashes. In that battle, they truly understood what it meant to be an ant's wrath, to be able to turn the world upside down. Because of this, they felt that they couldn't continue like this. They had to wake up the gods and completely eliminate these furnace wizards. Otherwise, when these furnace magi fully matured, they wouldn't even need to self-destruct. Just their own strength alone would be enough to burn them to death. Yes, I heard that it's not just our world that's like this. Many furnace wizards have appeared in other worlds as well. They're spreading like a plague. An elder gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with fear. This wasn't a problem that could be solved by leaving this world. No matter which world they went to, they would meet a large number of furnace wizards. It was obvious that this group of humans had grasped extraordinary powers and had grasped the means to fight against the evil god's kin. If they weren't careful, they would all become history and turn into dust. Damn it, if it wasn't for the ancient war that caused many gods to fall into a deep sleep, how could these puny humans do anything? One thought from the gods could kill all these humans. Many temple elders gritted their teeth, unwilling to accept this. In fact, if the gods were at their peak, they would be omniscient and omnipotent. They would not have given these humans a chance to grow. Once there was any sign, they would be killed immediately. But things were different now. The evil gods were in a deep slumber, trying their best to reduce their consumption and heal their injuries. If it was not necessary, they would not wake up. To be honest, the speed at which these furnace wizards rose was too fast. In just a short span of 3,000 years, they had grown to a level that even the evil god's minions had to pay attention to. It was simply unimaginable. Let's do it. The time has come. Immediately begin the sacrifice and awaken the gods. The archbishop said in a deep voice. Damn it, the furnace wizards are here. They're directly under the temple. Millions of furnace wizards are here. An elder couldn't help but yell. What? The faces of the temple elders turned green. Tens of thousands of furnace sorcerers had already died, and now millions of furnace sorcerers had appeared in this place. How could this be? Truthfully, if they failed, they would be burned to death. Even if they won and killed all the furnace wizards, the power of the flames produced after their deaths would be enough to burn the entire temple to ashes. All the elders would be burned to death. It was obvious that regardless of whether they won or lost, the odds were against them. This group of despicable and shameless humans. They must have received news that we are planning to awaken the Lord God, so they came here to stop us from offering sacrifices. An elder gritted his teeth. Impossible, awakening the god is our insider news. How would those humans know? Traitor, there must be a traitor among us, and he leaked the information. That bunch of trash was captured and tortured, so they spilled all our secrets. A bunch of spineless people. The elders gritted their teeth in rage. Shut up, now is not the time to push the blame. The archbishop hollered in rage, his face was dark and sunken. Stop them, don't let them enter the temple. We definitely can't let them disturb our sacrifice. This sacrifice has to happen. As long as the god wakes up, they will all die. He was furious, but he was even more determined. In the past, they were the ones who hunted humans, killing them so much that they didn't dare to go out. But now, these humans had actually blocked their way. When had they ever been so aggrieved being attacked by weak humans? It was like the sky was flipping. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Instantly, the temple elders clenched their fists and left the vicinity of the altar. They had to stop the millions of furnace wizards. They couldn't let them affect the sacrificial process. Lord God, wake up, we are facing a huge crisis. If we don't wake up, we will all die. The archbishop knelt on the ground and dripped his blood onto the altar. Then, he placed a large number of precious sacrificial items on the altar and activated the evil god's power. Rumble, in an instant, the entire altar shook, the densely packed evil god runes flashing, as if communicating with an indescribably terrifying existence in the depths of the void. The entire temple rumbled and released endless light. A powerful god's power swept in all directions, shaking the entire Leon world. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the depths of the altar. It was wearing a black robe and looked like an old man. It was as thin as a match, and its eyes contained a sinister and cunning look. But it emitted a terrifying aura. It was like a prison. He's awake, he's finally awake. All the hall elders were extremely excited. Lake, why did you wake me up from my long slumber? If there's no major event to wake me up, all of you will definitely suffer the wrath of the god. The god of trickery's voice buzzed, containing terrifying god's power. It stared at the archbishop, obviously displeased that it was woken up. Moreover, it was still in the process of healing, it couldn't be disturbed, otherwise, it wouldn't be able to recover. Lord God, save us, those humans are completely crazy, they want to kill us, they want to kill all of your believers. The archbishop cried, as if he could finally pour out his grievances. Humans? Kill all of you. The god of trickery was a little confused, he didn't know what these believers were talking about. Sogu website. Chapter 2886. To be honest, the god of trickery could not be blamed for being a little confused. After all, in his memory, humans were merely food, ants that could be killed at any time. Furthermore, the vitality of humans was especially tenacious. Even if a batch of them died, as long as they were given a chance to recuperate, they would continue to reproduce and flourish again. However, that was all the impression he had of humans. After all, who would be interested in his own food? However, what did he hear now? Those humans had attacked his shrine, and his powerful dependents had no choice but to sacrifice food to wake him up from his slumber. They were even crying in front of him, scolding those humans for being completely crazy. If he was not the god of trickery, which meant he had some sense and was not as hot-tempered as other evil gods, he would have eaten those joking dependents alive long ago. There are really humans attacking my shrine? In an instant, the god of trickery moved his mind, and the void within a radius of billions of light-years was within the range of his soul perception. Millions of human warriors had appeared under his shrine. Furthermore, his followers and dependents were retreating in defeat. Many of the shrine elders had even died. Blood flowed like a river, and the scene was extremely tragic. He was dumbfounded. He did not expect to see such a scene after he woke up. The insignificant humans had actually formed a group and attacked his shrine. Furthermore, these humans were extremely savage and wanted to kill him. Were these humans crazy? Who exactly gave them the courage to do so? Did they not know how powerful a god was? Wait a minute, there's a strange power in their bodies. It's a special flame power, and it even contains a hint of divinity. Furthermore, it has a great restraining effect on the power of evil gods. Are they also dependents of some god? In an instant, the god of trickery's eyes shone brightly. He sensed that a huge conspiracy had shrouded over his head. As the god of trickery, he could not be more familiar with conspiracies. It was obvious that these humans were pawns. They had terrifying power bestowed upon them by a mysterious god, which was why they could so easily defeat his followers and dependents. That was why they possessed such terrifying power. Could it be that some kind of god is trying to test me to find out how the injuries on my body have become? At that moment, the god of trickery's expression darkened. Since young, he had always been the one plotting against others. There was no reason for others to plot against him. Now, there was actually another evil god who dared to plot against him. This was simply looking down on him and slapping his own face. It believed that the god in the dark was definitely not a powerful being. If he was really strong enough, there was no need for him to use such a low-level trick. He could just kill him and crush him to death. There was no need to waste so much effort. Interesting. I want to see who wants to go against me, the god of schemes. After sleeping for so many years, there's actually an evil god that has forgotten my god name, the god of schemes? Thinking of this, the god of schemes sneered. Rumble, in an instant, with its body as the center, a powerful divine spirit domain appeared, enveloping the space-time of billions of light years. It seemed to contain the power of the great path laws, piercing through the heavens and earth. Suddenly, all the furnace wizards stopped in their tracks. They were all dumbstruck, as if they had turned into idiots. They could not move at all. They looked confused, as if they had forgotten what exactly they were here for. This was the power of the god of trickery, intelligence reduction. The god of trickery's intelligence was actually only average. It was neither too good nor too bad. It could only be considered average. The reason why it was called the god of trickery was because of its special power. In other words, although its intelligence was not comparable to others, it could drag the intelligence of smart people down to its own level or even lower, turning smart people into normal people, turning normal people into idiots, turning idiots into idiots, and blinding the minds of living beings. This was the power of the god of trickery. However, this power was not omnipotent. It had a huge advantage against gods of the same level, and it could play tricks at will. However, this power could not affect powerful gods above the middle god tier. Therefore, it could only act like a tyrant among the lower gods. I'd like to see which god of evil gave these humans the power to deal with me. Don't let me find any traces of you, or I'll definitely kill you. How dare you bully me, the god of trickery? The god of trickery sneered. His powerful divine sense invaded the consciousness of each and every one of the humans, trying to search the memories in the depths of these human souls to find the mastermind. As expected of Lord God. He's too powerful. How dare these insignificant humans come looking for trouble with us? They really don't know what's good for them. Now it's settled. Seeing this scene, the Archbishop and the other god of evil's followers were excited. As expected, when Lord God of Evil personally took action, these humans were as weak as ants. They were no match for him at all. All of them were determined. After this matter was over, they would slaughter all the furnace wizards and make this profession a thing of the past. They must not let the humans gain power. Otherwise, the power that the humans had would be a huge threat to them. At this moment, Xia Ping used the formless mask to hide his aura and figure. He hid in a corner of the temple and carefully observed the god of trickery who had suddenly appeared. I see. This is the power of the god of trickery, lower intelligence. It's really powerful. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes. Initially, he could not tell what the power of the god of trickery was. However, after spending a portion of the hatred crystal, he found out the power of the god of trickery through the system. It could only be said that the power of the system was too powerful and could understand everything. Even the god of evil could not hide from the power of the system. He also had a slight understanding of how the battle between the gods worked. It was important to understand the power of the opposing god. When one reached this level, the strength of one's divine power and power were no longer particularly important. Power was the foundation of everything. Sometimes, if one understood all the power of the opposing god, one could target and deal with the opposing god. Sometimes, the power of a weak god just happened to restrain the opposing god, and one could easily kill the opposing god. The power of the god of trickery was indeed extraordinary. It could lower the intelligence of the enemy. If the enemy's intelligence was reduced to the level of a 3-year-old child, would he not be able to deceive them as he pleased? To a certain extent, This was a very powerful power. It depended on how one used it. It was no wonder that this god of trickery was famous among the many gods of evil. This power had indeed brought great benefits to the god of trickery, allowing him to succeed in every endeavor. Chapter 2887. System: Do you know how to kill a god? Even though Xia Ping knew how to deal with the god of trickery, he still hid nearby and did not choose to attack. After all, his opponent was a lower god. Even if he was seriously injured, he was still not a demigod. Moreover, it was publicly acknowledged that gods were difficult to kill. If this attack did not kill a god and instead let the god of trickery escape, there would be endless trouble. Therefore, he had to make sure nothing went wrong this time. Because of this, he wanted to know the god's weakness. You need 1,000 hatred crystals. The system replied. Exchange. Xia Ping was not stingy at all. As long as he could kill a god, a mere 1,000 hatred crystals were nothing. Anyway, he could earn them back at any time. The reason why gods are difficult to kill is because of their divinity. As long as their divinity is not destroyed, gods will not die. The system said. Hearing this, Xia Ping could not help but nod. The divinity of a god was actually the crystallization of the great path laws. It was extremely hard, and even ordinary artifacts were not as hard as divinity. The soul of a god had already merged with the divinity, which was equivalent to the divinity being the strongest container, protecting the soul of a god in all aspects, thus making the soul of a god extremely safe. Even if the enemy wanted to attack the soul of a god, they would not be able to pass through the divinity and would be easily blocked. At the same time, a god's body was born with powerful divine power, containing the characteristics of immortality and indestructibility. It was many times stronger than a saint and close to immortality. Therefore, gods were difficult to kill. Even if they were seriously injured, they were not existences that a demigod could kill. In that case, how can a god be killed? Xia Ping asked. There are two ways. The first is to use super strength to shatter the divinity of the enemy god. Then you can kill the god. The system replied. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. If he had the strength, he would not need to ask the system. Of course, there is also a second way, which is to forcibly separate the soul of a god from the divinity. This way, the soul of a god can be directly destroyed and the god will die. The system said. Separate the soul from the divinity? How can this be done? The soul of a god has long been merged with the divinity, just like the relationship between the meridians and flesh. Xia Ping felt that this kind of thing was almost impossible to do. To separate a god's soul from their divinity was many times more difficult than shattering their divinity. It's not impossible. Just like the golden crow of hell at its peak, its power, the soul shriek, could instantly strip the souls and godhoods of countless gods and devour them. The system replied. There are also a few ruling gods who are proficient in the art of illusion. They are able to cause weaker gods to fall into an inescapable illusion, forcing them to detach their own souls and divinity. Soul shriek? Could it be that I can also do this now? Xia Ping asked in surprise. No, the host's abilities are not enough. I'm afraid that the soul shriek's ability can only make the god of trickery fall into a state of dizziness for a second. It's not enough to strip the other party's god's soul. The system said. In other words, with my current strength, it would be impossible for me to kill a deity, even a lesser deity. Xia Ping was not too disappointed. After all, a demigod wanting to kill a lesser deity was something that had never happened before. Although it was just a difference of one level, it was the difference between heaven and earth, the difference between a mortal and a god. Countless invincible sages had been born in the modern universe, but until now, not a single god had been born. One could imagine how difficult it was. Therefore, with his current strength, it was only natural that he could not kill a lesser deity. It seemed that he could only retreat for the time being and come back to kill the god of trickery in the future when he was strong enough. No, although the host is unable to kill a lesser deity with your current strength, the host has a treasure that can kill a lesser deity. It is the reincarnation pen. The system said. Reincarnation pen? Xia Ping's heart skipped a beat. The reincarnation pen is the most powerful artifact of the Lord of Hell. It is the key for the Lord of Hell to rule over countless demon gods. Its power is endless. Even if it is currently sealed, it can still explode with unimaginable power. Do you know what its first ability is? The system said. The first ability? I remember, it's soul snatching. Xia Ping's eyes lit up as if he had thought of something. Yes, it's soul snatching. This ability is extremely powerful. It is close to the rule and the authority of the gods. Even the gods can't resist such power. The system said, with the reincarnation pen, the Lord of Hell killed all the rebellious demon gods. Once the reincarnation pen appeared, even the demon gods would die. It would be useless to trace their souls and integrate them into the cycle of reincarnation. To be honest, you have a large amount of origin energy now. You can use it to unseal the 5 layers of the reincarnation pen and fully display the power of the artifact. It pointed out a bright path for Xia Ping. Yes, I only unsealed the first layer of the reincarnation pen. In fact, it still has 4 layers of origin energy. Moreover, I have an endless amount of origin energy now. Xia Ping couldn't help but nod. Previously in the Crazy Mountain Range, he had burned countless corpses of evil gods and obtained a large amount of origin energy. Moreover, he had countless dependents. These dependents burned those evil creatures to death and obtained a steady stream of origin energy. It was impossible for him to absorb such a large amount of origin energy alone. After all, even though he had the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell, there was a limit to the amount of origin energy he could absorb every day. In this way, he had accumulated a large amount of origin energy that he hadn't used. To be honest, it was a bit of a waste. I see. I understand now. Thinking of this, Xia Ping's eyes lit up. Of course, he didn't unseal the reincarnation pen. After all, once the reincarnation pen was unsealed, it would definitely cause a huge energy fluctuation. Moreover, according to the system, even if the reincarnation pen only unsealed the first layer of the reincarnation pen, it would be enough to extract the soul of the seriously injured god of intrigue from the godhead. Of course, this was also because the god of intrigue had been seriously injured in the War of Gods in the ancient times. His godhead had cracked and he still hadn't recovered to this day. Because of this, the reincarnation pen could do it. If the god of intrigue hadn't been seriously injured, the reincarnation pen might not have been able to deal with the god of intrigue by unsealing the first layer of the reincarnation pen. However, no matter what, he finally had a way to deal with a lower god. Thinking of this, Xia Ping saw that the god of intrigue seemed to be focused on searching the souls of these furnace wizards to find the mastermind behind the scenes. With a shift of his mind, he immediately released the soul shriek and attacked the god of intrigue. Such an attack was extremely fast. Even the god of intrigue couldn't defend against it. Chapter 2888. At that moment, the god of conspiracy was searching souls. With the powerful soul power of a lower god, it easily invaded the soul of one of the furnace wizards. It tried to find the source of this power from the wizard's memory, as well as who the evil god behind it was. What? When it traced back to the source, it came to the depths of the furnace wizard's memories. It immediately saw a majestic figure emitting boundless divine might. It was like a giant bird burning with eternal, undying flames. It was as if it could incinerate everything in its path. Just looking at this shadow made it feel like its soul was about to melt. A sovereign evil god. Without a doubt, this was the divine power that only a sovereign evil god could possess. Moreover, it was a top sovereign that could emit such an earth-shattering aura and power. Oh no! In an instant, because it had peeked into the deepest part of the Golden Crow of Hell's bloodline, the god of conspiracies suffered a huge backlash. A powerful divine power came crashing down on it. The god of conspiracies' expression changed drastically. It hurriedly retracted its soul, but it was too late. This powerful soul pressure violently hit its soul, causing it to shake violently. At this moment, it felt as if its soul, its internal organs, had been violently shaken. Its injuries, which were already serious, were now showing signs of worsening. How is this possible? There's a sovereign evil god behind it, but if the great sovereign wanted to deal with a lower god like me, he wouldn't need to waste so much energy. Why is this happening? The god of conspiracy was dumbfounded. Although it was called the god of conspiracy, its intelligence was only at the level of a normal person. It could not figure out why. Moreover, it had never seen a sovereign evil god with such terrifying flames. It was unheard of. Oh no, there's an enemy. At that moment, the god of trickery felt a great sense of danger. He seemed to have heard a sharp scream, and this scream contained a terrifying soul power. All the evil gods' dependents present could not withstand the power of this soul scream. They could not control their bodies at all. Their souls were directly taken out, and they were in a state of having their souls leave their bodies. All the evil gods' dependents screamed in fear. Although the god of intrigue's soul was protected by his divinity and was not deprived of his soul, he still suffered a heavy blow, which made him dizzy for a moment. For powerhouses of this level, a moment of dizziness was the difference between life and death. A chance. At this moment, Xia Ping, who had been hiding in the depths of the void, made his move. He saw that this was a great opportunity to take advantage of the god of trickery's dizzy state to kill him while he was down. Divine artifact, reincarnation pen. Rumble, he took out the reincarnation brush. This was the most powerful brush tip in the universe, containing the most powerful sharpness. It could divide yin and yang, sever karma, and determine reincarnation. After receiving Xia Ping's enormous origin energy, the reincarnation brush blossomed with endless radiance. Numerous hell runes appeared on its surface. It seemed as if every rune had come to life. Peerless divine ability, soul hook. Xia Ping held the reincarnation brush and pointed it at the god of intrigue. Immediately, the tip of the reincarnation brush emitted waves of dim light. It seemed to contain the supreme power of the Great Path Law, or rather, the power of rules. Suddenly, a terrifying chaotic vortex seemed to be formed at the tip of the reincarnation brush. Countless black hairs emerged from the depths of the brush tip. Each black hair extended out and seeped into the god of intrigue's divinity. No. What are you trying to do? The god of intrigue was filled with endless fear. He sensed that these black hairs were extremely terrifying. They seemed to be the threads of rules and contained terrifying divine power. The deepest part of the god of intrigue's divinity was immediately penetrated by these black hairs. It seemed as if countless black hairs had tied up the soul in the depths of the divinity in an instant. Rumble, in the next second, the reincarnation brush gently drew a line and produced a terrifying power of karma. The god of intrigue's divine soul was pulled out from the divinity and pulled into the air. The god of intrigue was indeed a lower god. His soul energy was extremely huge. It looked like a blob of black ink that was extremely dense. It was like a pollutant that corroded the void of the universe. It was as if other living beings would completely fall into depravity as long as they came into contact with it. This was the divine soul unique to the evil gods. Damn it. What have you done to me? The god of intrigue screamed in terror. He had never experienced something like this in his life. His soul that was originally hidden in the divinity was forcefully pulled out by someone else. What kind of joke was this? He had never seen such a strange and powerful force before. Without the protection of the power of the divinity, wouldn't his life be frozen in water? Hellfire Golden Crow Claw. Before the god of intrigue could figure it out, Xia Ping attacked instantly. He did not give the god of intrigue any chance to react at all. After all, his opponent was a lower god who possessed terrifying divine power. Once he reacted, he would definitely be severely injured. Therefore, he had to kill the god of intrigue before his opponent could react. A giant dark golden claw reached out from the depths of the void. It burned with the scorching hellfire golden crow claw as if it was a giant claw from the deepest part of hell. It emitted terrifying divine power. Spare me, spare me, spare me. The god of trickery was terrified to the extreme. He sensed a fatal danger, but it was too late for him to dodge. The Hell's Golden Crow Claw was extremely fast. It was a claw that contained the power of space and time. By the time the god of trickery noticed the Hell's Golden Crow Claw, the claw had already arrived. Bang! Immediately, the god of intrigue's soul was caught by the Hellfire Golden Crow Claw. It was like a primordial ferocious bird catching its prey. The prey could not move at all. At the same time, the god of intrigue's soul began to burn with the terrifying dark golden flames from the Hellfire Golden Crow Claw. It seemed to be the best fuel in the world. Almost instantly, the god of intrigue did not know what was happening. The Hellfire Golden Crow Claw burned his soul. Ah! The god of intrigue let out a shrill scream that pierced through the void. However, he could not retaliate at all. It was as if he was suffering from intense pain. In just a second, the god of intrigue was burned to death by the Hellfire Golden Crow Claw. All that was left was wisps of black smoke, the god of intrigue's divinity, and his divine body. What an enormous amount of origin energy! Xia Ping was extremely excited at that moment. He realized that after he burned a lower god to death, he immediately obtained an enormous amount of origin energy. This energy flowed into the deepest part of his body as if it was free. Meanwhile, his soul power, magic and bloodline power were increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 2889. However, the fact that Xia Ping was able to kill the god of trickery could be considered to have the right timing, location, and people. First of all, the god of trickery was already severely injured and in a weakened state. Compared to when he was at his peak, he was much weaker, so it was naturally easy to deal with him. Secondly, the god of trickery was not a god of evil who was good at fighting. When he was unprepared, the god of trickery did not even have time to use the power of his authority before he was killed. Lastly, there was the help of the reincarnation pen. Without the reincarnation pen, he probably would not have been able to break through the god of trickery's godhead, and he would not have been able to kill the god of trickery and refine his soul. Therefore, he was lucky to be able to kill the god of trickery. It could be considered a miracle that had never been seen before. It was too difficult for a demigod to kill a lower god. Lower gods were not just extremely difficult to kill. Apart from the use of their authority, they also had divine power. One wisp of divine power could destroy tens of thousands of wisps of magical power. The two powers were not on the same level at all. Moreover, divine power was very corrosive. Once it invaded a saint's body, it would definitely shatter the saint's body and soul. They would not be able to withstand it at all. But no matter what, he still managed to kill a low god without a hitch. This also gave Xia Ping a clearer understanding of the strength of the gods. At this moment, many of the evil god's minions also saw this scene, and they almost went crazy. It can't be, Lord God is dead? What kind of joke is this? What kind of joke is this? When the archbishop saw this, he went completely crazy and could not believe what was happening in front of him. One must know that this was an evil god, a supreme god. It was an immortal existence. Apart from gods, it was impossible to kill a god. And this guy who suddenly appeared was just a human, but he had actually killed their god in front of them. This was a god slaying. He was just a human, and he was just food. What ability did he have to kill a god? What a joke. He's dead, he's really dead. We no longer have any connection with Lord God, and we can no longer sense Lord God's will. The power that Lord God bestowed upon us is also rapidly weakening. Many of the evil god's minions felt endless panic. They had not expected this to happen. Their god had been killed by a human. Even if it was a sneak attack, the result was everything. In a real battle, it didn't matter if it was a head-on battle or a sneak attack. Winning was justice. Winning was everything. Moreover, this fellow was merely a human. Even if it was a sneak attack, he shouldn't have been able to kill a god. What was a god? It was an immortal, a supreme existence. That was why they were called gods. No matter how these puny humans attacked or ambushed the powerful gods, it was impossible to kill them. But now, the god of trickery was really dead. He had fallen in front of them just like that. Where did this human come from? What kind of power does he grasp? How could he kill Lord God? All the evil god minions broke down and couldn't understand. Oh, these evil god minions don't seem to be dead yet. Let's burn them together then. Xia Ping glanced and saw the evil god family members. Although he had released a soul shriek when he was sneaking an attack on the god of intrigue just now, most of his attention was still on the god of intrigue. That was why he didn't start killing the evil god's minions. Now that the god of trickery was dead, he had some time to spare. Not good, this human even wants to kill us. Run, run, run out of this world immediately. Right? Tell this to the other evil gods and tell them that a human heretic has risen up. Let them wake up and kill this bunch of humans. These humans are a huge threat to us, a huge threat. The many evil god minions couldn't help but scream in terror. After that, they knew that humans seemed to have an unbelievable power. They were so strong that they could even kill gods. This was a huge threat to the other evil god minions. But such a threat wasn't known by the other evil god minions and other evil beings. This was because they had been the overlords for too long. It was so long that they forgot that there were other beings in the universe that could threaten their status. If they didn't wipe out these furnace wizards, the entire evil god universe would be turned on its head. Even those high and mighty evil gods would be toppled from their thrones. Xia Ping looked calmly at the followers of the evil god and just snapped his fingers. Instantly, all the bodies of the evil god minions started to burn. They weren't able to leave for even a second and turned into top-grade fuel. In just a single breath, all of the evil god's minions died. They died without a complete corpse, and at the same time, they were refined into a huge amount of source energy that he absorbed. Let's go. Xia Ping waved his hand and took away the god of trickery's corpse, divinity, and many treasures. He then instantly left the temple. At that moment, the furnace wizards who were hit by the god of trickery's power woke up. They recovered their intelligence and could finally think. They looked around and were stunned. That was because the strong evil god minions were nowhere to be found. That terrifying god of trickery was nowhere to be found. It was as if all the threats had disappeared at that moment. What happened? Where are the evil god minions and the god of trickery? Where did they go? Many of the furnace wizards blinked their eyes. They were a little stunned. Victory came too easily. After all, they were already prepared to die before coming here. They were prepared to sacrifice themselves in order to get rid of this temple and the god of schemes. It's the furnace master, the great furnace master. I feel the aura of the master. The master personally killed the god of trickery. A strong furnace wizard leader shouted excitedly. It was obvious that he felt the aura of the golden crow of hell that Xia Ping left behind. Only the furnace master had this power. So, the master did it. No wonder the god of trickery disappeared. The master has always been paying attention to us. With the master's protection, we will be successful. The god of trickery is dead. The temple monsters are dead too. This world belongs to us humans. Burn those detestable monsters to death and offer them to the great furnace master. Many furnace wizards shouted excitedly. They had never been so excited and happy. At that moment, they burned the god of trickery to death. Humans were the overlords of this world. Those evil races that ate humans as food would all become history. Third sect leader, you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.